Today on Old World Fanatics, we're catching up on all the latest rule drops from GW, all about movement, formations and shooting, and we also cover Josh's first drop of his 400-point milestone slow grow. Enjoy. Welcome to the Old World Fanatics, your Warhammer fantasy podcast to quench your hobby thirst for all things the old world. And I'm your host, Gomo, with my other hosts, Andrew and Josh. How is it? How is everyone, considering we're a day behind our usual schedule?
Yeah, I was ready to go yesterday, and
you were actually
threw me out of it. I was like, oh, hang on,
Feel a bit rusty.
Yeah.
Were you very lost, like Monday night, with us wandering around?
Yeah, I was like, you know that meme of like old mate is like swinging on the swing and standing in the pool. Yeah, it's very lost.
Had all these opinions we wanted to unleash, and we had no one to inflict it on.
Yeah, exactly.
And I sort of feel it's a little anticlimactic because I even I did set my alarm, but I do tend to wake up in the middle of the night sometimes, and I was like, oh, it's 3 o'clock. I'll wake up and I'll just check if it does come out at 3, and it I actually went straight to the website and the article was there. So I just skimmed it and I went, it's the shooting phase. I mean, how big is that? Like we waited for, like, we'll get into this, but like it's funny. I feel like the shooting phase out of all of them is probably the least. I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of stuff in it, but I feel like without spoilering alert, I feel like it's pretty straightforward sometimes. So, it's funny. But it's good.
It seems like it, but there seems like there could be a fair bit to unpack, though.
That's right. And just so, what we got on today, I guess we're going to go through some hobby, but we left it back a day just to, we're sort of out of whack with GW's schedule. They forgot to ask us about what our schedule was when they booked in their Old World announcements every week. I tried to get them to do it midweek, but anyway, no, Sunday night, I should say. But so we pushed ours back just so we basically, it comes out and then we can look at it during the day and then we record. So, I mean, sometimes we'll do it on this day. I guess we'll see what happens and if GW change their schedule as it gets closer or not. So, we've got 2 of those Old World Almanac things to cover, which is movement and shooting. So we'll get into that. I think some of us have a little bit of hobby. I think Josh has got more hobby because he's got slow grow, his first slow grow drop and games they played down in Melbourne. So we'll cover that. We'll squish in some of the questions that we missed last week and then we'll let people get back to their day, I guess. But I mean, there's probably enough. There's a bit of meat on the bone to get through here. So
very meaty bone.
We can kick off on that. I mean, news-wise, that's the whole segment we're going to talk about is news, I guess, because it's all old world stuff. So I don't know if there was much more. The only thing I had that I saw floating around on the interwebs was, there's this YouTuber I don't even know how you say it, Film Deg Miniatures. I don't know if you guys seen any of his videos. So I don't even know how he's scored all this, but he basically lived around the corner from John Blanche and got into Mordenheim. He ended up interviewing John Blanche and stuff because he's a videographer. He's just a young guy. So he's not someone with like him now. He has thousands of views on YouTube, but I don't think he was like massively known. He just played games with John Blanche, and then he interviewed Thomas Pirinen, and then he's done a 2-parter on Rick Priestley as well, because they all go around John's and play games.
Yeah, right.
So they're worth looking at if you guys. Again, I'm pretty, I'm pretty into all this Games Workshop Citadel history, so it seems to be all the rage at the moment. So, if you haven't checked that one out, it's pretty cool, actually. And Rick's sort of recollections of, Warhammer up to about 5th edition, 6th edition when he sort of got out of it. But, it's worth, pretty interesting stuff, actually. If anyone hasn't seen it, I'll put it in the show notes, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll get through hobby time first, I guess. Do you want to, since I've been talking, why don't I throw Andrew up first for hobby? What have you been up to in the last week or so?
Mine's been quite easy, even though I've been super busy. I'm still organising my vast collection. Trying to sort out Chaos Skaven and, Chaos Demons. So I didn't realise how much I had. So if anybody didn't know, I was moving some stuff on and I have maybe like 100 odd maybe groups of models, like units and things, or bigger stuff like the 3
the Lords of Change and stuff.
Yeah, Lords of Change.
Yeah.
So yeah, like just Demon Prince. I've got like 3 Demon Princes as well. So there's just there's all this
you
stuff.
You don't have a Bloodthirster, do you? Like the newer one?
Nah. I got 3 of the old
Zench,
school.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've got some corn stuff, but nah, it's mainly Zench, and I did have some Nurgle, but yeah. But anyway, I was doing that, and then
realizing how much you've got.
Yeah. I did
much.
put together another unit of Fireglaves for my Chaos Dwarves. So I'm trying to get through all them. They frustratingly take quite a bit of time. Just getting them together, because the arms, just lining them up to want to hold the Fireglaive in like a uniform sort of way. It just takes a bit of time. I used to have this really, really good hobby glue. I got it in the US. I haven't been able to find something, and it was kind of it was like almost a gel-like consistency, so it was quite sticky when you got it. It was like a super glue, but it was just like quite jelly. So
and
it was.
Does that mean you could like position it, but it didn't stick straight away, but it also did stick?
I found that I just kind of held it. Yeah.
I think, to be honest, it was a cheap China cast thing that I bought years ago, and it just, even super glue wouldn't really glue it. It was the weirdest material. It was just shocking.
Yeah, just like like the viscosity of super glue, like, can be super runny.
Yeah.
So it was just, and I don't like plastic glue. I just use super glue. But
I love plastic glue for plastic, but that's the only thing I use it for. You don't like it for plastic?
No, I've like my previous dealings with it just takes too long. I'm sure they're better and quicker now.
I love it. Like, I just glue it and it molds. It's like
because they melt them together. Yeah, it kind of welds it
together.
Almost.
Yeah, it does. Although I must admit, sometimes there are situations where I'm glad I haven't used plastic glue when I want to take something apart. And I'm like, just the other night, I was like, I hope I haven't glued these rider's legs to the mount. And thank God I hadn't. I was able to pull it off and change it over because I just had the forethought to use super glue. Sometimes I use it for heads as well. I use super glue for heads. If I'm putting mounts on, I just like, because you just want to change some. Occasionally,
that's a good point, though. I've never thought of that in terms of looking at the model, going, this is something I might want to take off or fiddle with it later. Because you don't care about super glue breaking if it's not like a main thing. Like, you don't care, like, if it's not something that's obviously going to break all the time.
If anything, having a weak point that's easily regluable is not the worst situation if something falls on the floor, because it means it's usually something that's pretty easy to repair.
Yeah, that's interesting. Didn't know we'd go into the glue subject there, but
yeah.
That's interesting. Are you so you're just assembling at the moment? You're like me with this, not that we're doing slow grow, but we sort of talked about it. I don't think we got it.
Yeah, I just got a bit sidetracked.
Yeah.
It sounded good, like all, intents and purposes.
I just tell you, if you're not lining up for a game, it's just.
Well, that's the thing. It's when you go in for the game, that's what gives you the motivation. You go, that was really fun.
Yeah.
Can't wait for next month, And if you're not getting that release, then you're missing part of the.
And then you walk away going, all that stuff I just did, it was crap. I need to repaint a whole heap of new stuff because it didn't work. It's funny. Nah, cool. No, well, like I said, I mean, you already sent me some pictures of some of those other chaos stuff, so I might be in the market for some of it, but yeah.
Yeah. How'd you go? Gomo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting through. I got those 40k orcs done, so I mean, I don't want to talk too much about not old worldy stuff, but the biggest struggle was that.
It's hobby, it counts.
Yeah, that's like the interesting thing. I guess what I'm trying to do with them is it is the first army since I've used contrast paint. So the whole idea was can I paint an army pretty quick with contrast paints, but still be up to my? Because I don't know. I think I'm like a pretty good. It's not. It's more than battle ready, but it's not like it's not like great painting, but it looks good when it's all together. Do you know what I mean? That sort of
you got
quality.
Standards. You got standards.
Yeah,
What you want to do.
I want the contrast paint to be the same, but I want it to be quicker.
Yeah.
So, and I'd probably argue it's probably not because I ended up like contrasting it and still layering it and fiddling out with stuff like
that. Yeah. That's how I've used it too.
But as a result, and then with 40K, I've never painted 40K, and then B, I was like, just new stuff like how do you do blacks? How do you do and then you want to put metal and that. I guess that's not contrast, and even just the orc skin going through. I don't know, 4 or 5 different ways to do it on this 10 orc boy squad. So they look a bit weird because there's different. I mean, I guess orcs would look different, but I think I've worked it out now. So the next unit might go quicker now that I've sort of gone, I like that or I don't like that, or I'm happy with that even though it's not great. That type of detail wise. So they're done.
What recipe
and then,
have you settled on for the skin? Just out of interest.
Oh, it's mantis straight up. So contrast like zenithal, like black and grey and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it is So the best looking one, I'll tell you that I reckon, it's pretty popular. I see a lot of people do it. It's Plague Bearer Flesh contrast paint. Yeah. Plague Bearer Flesh contrast paint with Beeltan wash over the top.
Ooh,
yes.
And then I use Kislev. I'll use Ogren. It's a layer paint. Ogren, or is it Ogren?
Ogren camo.
Yeah, maybe it's like that. It's like a greeny, yellowy color. Is it Ogren color? Oh, sorry, I don't have my normal paints next to me. I just got contrasts. I use that and then like layer it down with Kislev Flesh. So like on the knuckles and the lips, it's basically straight Kislev Flesh. So on a hero, I would do that because it's like 2 contrasts. It's a contrast paint, a wash, and I don't know, 3 layers.
Yeah.
For the skin, so a lot. But I mean, it's an orc. Like most of there's a lot of green. But then what I found for just the normal guys, when you only want 1 wash, 1 contrast paint, I use. Sorry, what color? I swear it's mantis. Yeah, it is. It's mantis green.
Yeah, right.
It's slightly, so I don't have it. There's striking scorpion green, which is brighter. It's mantis. It's a contrast paint, and it's just 1 coat, and it looks. I mean, I do still use a bit of Kislev Flesh and that Ogren camo, whatever it is, around the lips a little bit, but you don't have to do a whole lot. You just go whack, and it's pretty quick. It's ironic I'm not using any of the orc colours for the skin.
Yeah, no, I was expecting you to talk about some of the orc ones.
There's orc flesh, there's gut ripper, bloody whatever it is, and none of them float my boat for some reason. That's what I did for them. And then I've started I'm just doing those sepulchre. How do you say that? Sepulchre? Stalkers? Sepulchral. Yeah, that's it. You've got it. But I did one of them to work out the color scheme, and then you guys just saw it in Instagram. I decided to do one more bite.
The snake guys.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. Sorry.
So I did like an Instagram reel just of painting that guy up, and then I just got one more to finish. So, and then that's 3 of them. But then I've got to go do the actual snake riders. And I think, man, I don't know. I reckon for CA, not CA, what's it called? CanCon. I think I need to do another 5 chariots or 4 chariots. I might have to get them started soon.
Oh, you are.
So I'll probably be back in Tomb King land for a bit. And I just, depending on what happens this weekend with the news, so see what I want to put the effort into or not, depending on what they're bringing out. So if that's what comes out. Yeah.
Have you got all the chariots that you need already? You got 4 or 5 chariots sitting around?
Yeah, because I've got 5 or 6 still.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got 3 nons like on sprue, and then I think I've got 2 or 3 already undercoated. So so that should be cool. So doing anything? Oh, I did. So I did start the slow grow stuff. I did the a different zenithal on these wood elves. Like I've gone like a sharp. Is it a Sharpty bone? Not a Sharpty bone. What's that other one? Xandri dust spray. And I just put a yellow spray over the top, and then I'm going to try contrast greens on top of that to see and browns to see what comes out like. I haven't actually done anything there. Just did that. So I need to get into them a bit. I don't know if you guys find this. What was it?
Have you actually made a warband?
That's what it was. It was going to be 8 Glade. What are they called? The elf dudes, the Glade Guard. 8 of them, 4 Glade Riders, and 8 Dryads, and then a mage on a warhorse.
Ooh, then a mage.
Yeah. Nice. That's what the 400 points were. So I started on the Glade Guard just to get some of the paint colours down. But I don't know, to be honest, I mean, I don't know, Josh, you've done Wood Elves, but you wouldn't have used contrast for them, did you?
It was before the time of contrast, my friend. Yes.
I don't know. I just, you know how some figures go better than others? You know what I mean? And you know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. And I've heard this today, actually confirmed it, is contrast is not an easy paint. Like it's easy if you've got a big figure and it's obvious and blah, blah, blah. It's not actually a beginner paint. Like, because if you do it wrong, like you can't go back over the contrast again.
Yeah.
True. It's one and done, isn't it?
And you can do it, like, because if you screw it up, crap. But you got to you basically have to undercoat it again, that little bit, and then recontrast.
If you want to redo it, yeah. But you would never do that. You would just use the colours you got.
I'm finding with the Glade Guard, because they're so little, and they've got a lot of different bits of armory stuff and different. You could do it all one colour, or you could do lots of little ones. I'm like, I don't know. It's either go back to layer paints, base layers, all that crap, or contrast paint brown the whole bloody thing with a green cape, and then use layer paints and stuff to do the differences that I want.
Yeah.
I don't know. I tried to basically use 3 different types of contrast greens and a couple of browns, and I'm finding it's way too small to just put the little bits of contrast where I want.
Yeah.
It's hard to control where the contrast goes sometimes, for sure.
So my next test model, I think I'm just going to go straight, almost like a snakebite leather contrast or something over the majority of the bit, and then the green cape or something, and then use normal paints. I don't know. I'll see. I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to work that out, but I think the Tomb Kings are going to be coming up in terms of priority. That's a problem.
Yeah. Well, as CanCon approaches, that is the.
And then did you see the Pharaoh's Legacy? I'm taking all this hobby time. The Pharaoh's Legacy Kickstarter closed today, and so in 2 weeks I'm getting STLs for an entire new Tomb King.
Interesting.
Which I might be knocking on Josh's door for.
Yes, with your printer, you're going to be printing these.
I just love some of their. I mean, not. I think I could use their Scorpions and definitely their Carrion, and it would fit in the old stuff because I could just switch out the Scorpions I got for these other ones. Plus the Carrion. I've got 3rd edition Carrion, like those.
Yeah, they're
remember
pretty
those Carrion
old,
that were undead with the little dude riding it?
Yeah,
they're my ones. I still think they look better than the Carrion that are current for Tomb Kings. Don't know what the hell those things were. Whereas the Carrion that are in this new range, Pharaoh's Legacy, they look awesome. So
yeah. No, I'm happy to print them off for you when you get the files.
No, cool, awesome. But that's what I've been up to, and going through the rules that we're going to talk about. But that's about it. And Josh has had the biggest stuff as usual.
That's for sure. Dear. Where do I start? I mean, I'll probably go through the slow grow a bit more in detail a little bit later in the episode.
Cool.
But in terms of the actual hobby that I've been doing, it still relates to the slow grow largely because that's taken a lot of my time. In terms of what I've been doing for painting wise, really, it's because I pretty much finished the Warband, the cult of Slannesh guys that I was doing for the slow grow last week. So I started painting up the next month, which is another 4 crossbows, Samantha crossbow unit of 10. Musician is standard for the devoted, so they're going to be 12 for the 600 points, and 3 more mounted demonettes as well. And then I've also started doing the I'm going to have Cold-Blooded Riders for the 800 point one.
Okay.
Put some of those in.
What's the Warband range? When does that stop?
Oh, it's already stopped.
Oh, because that's just the 400.
Up to 500.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So past that, it goes to regular. So from now on, it's just normal unit sizes, normal points, and normal rules. So that's why I'm filling out the units because I was only unit 6 crossbowmen. It's a minimum of 10 normally. So going to 600, it's okay, I've got to go to 10. So pretty much I didn't have any points to get an additional unit. All the points of the extra 200 points is pretty much filling out the half units that I had in the warband. Whereas the 800 will be able to have a new unit going on, which is I've started putting together some Cold Blood Riders. I think the same Patreon that gave me the the Slannesh sort of icons for the staff and the standard in the devoted. Next month, they're doing some mounted guys, like on snakes and a few other things, on some on the horses and that type of thing. Then some of them have like some interesting helmet shapes and some other sort of stands that I might be able to incorporate into the Cold One Nights, I think. I don't know. It depends on how it looks exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping to do a little bit of converting there. And just, I don't know, it's a hard balance because you don't want to make them too, Chaos Knighty.
Yeah.
You still want to maintain some elvishness to them. So I just sort of, I'm going to fiddle around with maybe just doing some slightly different helmets and some different shields. I don't know. I'll see how it looks.
On the show notes here, you've got LKM bits. Is that the provider?
That's the Lost King Dimension. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. They're the guys who did the Undead range as well, eh?
They've done quite a few ranges.
Yeah, they've done. Yeah, they've got good stuff.
I only just took up a Patreon with them last month because of the Slannesh stuff they released.
Yeah.
Because it was so timely and ideal.
Yeah.
For what I need to do.
Worked out well.
So yeah, I've been painting those guys up. Hopefully, that'll be done quite shortly. And the other thing I've been doing that I started working on the last couple of days is some more terrain, some fields, and some water, some ponds, and that type of thing. The water, partly because when I went to House of War on the weekend, they didn't have any water terrain, like at all.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh man. So I was going to do some for Kanko anyway, but now I'm like, I need to get some done because it'd be nice to actually have some.
Yeah.
So I've been cutting up some MDF boards for those, and getting the fields together. The fields that was something I've been planning for a while, where I wanted to do some paddocks.
Oh.
And are they
fields?
Are they ones that they're there, but you can just like take them out of the way or whatever? Like are they going to be like? Are they interactive? I guess is what I'm getting at.
Okay, sort of. Like I'm going to have it so it's going to be a hedge or a fence around the edges.
Right. Okay.
And then one of them is going to have just wheat that I'm similar to the corn I did, where it's just I'll just plant them, and I'll probably get some sort of clear stand I can put over the top, so you can just put a unit on top of the field rather than stick it in the really delicate plants. The paddock. So what I want to do and what I have started doing is I've got cows and sheep.
I was going to say cows would be awesome.
Dear. And I've based them up.
Like that.
I'm going to base them on 40 round bases. I've got little sabot rings that how my setup is I put some adhesive rubber sheet on the MDF, and then I stick a round MDF circle that goes around so that like a 40 mil round base can sort of sit there, and if I've got a magnet in that base, it'll just magnetize to that. So I'm going to have like a cow on a base.
Oh, you can just pluck it out.
But I can just pluck it out if you want to put a unit in the field.
That's
just pluck them out, and so that way it looks nice, but it's also fairly easy to play around.
Yeah, no, it's cool. That's what I want to do for a graveyard. Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah, super versatile. Doing it like that.
Yeah.
So then after I started doing some of the initial layering of texture. The other thing I was doing, so I'm doing 3 water features. 2 of them are going to be regular ponds. The third one I've decided to do like one that's going to be on the edge of the table, I think. So it's going to be like a half circle, I suppose. So it gives you the ability to make sort of the illusion of a bigger water feature.
Yeah.
Just like a small pond. So I've actually printed off a little jetty and a bit of like sunken boat that I'm going to put in there. And I'm going to start putting those together as well. So lots of fun.
That's cool. How deep? So how deep would they end up being? Like not that deep.
Not that deep. The ones because I've done a few water features in the past, but those were built into a board, like a 3 centimeter thick board, so I could really go quite deep there and have a lot of fun with putting stuff in there. And having some, significant amount of translucency in the resin so that you could see quite a bit, and so I'm going to have to really work out how to get that illusion with a much shallower piece of terrain. It's probably going to be maybe 3.5 millimeters thick of resin when I pour it. So I'm going to have to make sure I properly color the base. I'll probably have stones and rocks around the edge, and then maybe about 2 or 3 centimeters in, just have a brown progressing to dark color, just to give that illusion of depth.
That's deep. Yeah. Oh man, that'd be cool.
Yeah,
looks cool.
That would be.
So that's my plan. So I don't know how long that's going to take me.
You gotta have some little.
Be able to get that done before the next logo.
You gotta print some little Murlocs out or something to have running around the outside of the ponds.
You mean actual like World of Warcraft Murlocs?
Yeah, little Murlocs.
Is that what you're referring?
You walk up and they're like, blah, 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 blah.
Oh yes, no, I should do that. Yeah,
definitely.
It's the details that make it.
That would be, there's some gold detail.
Yeah.
I was thinking, Josh, though, might have to talk to you about CanCon, because we might have to start making sure we have all the right stuff for all the tables, and I need to get more. I've contacted a few sponsors, but need to get a bit more, because it'll be like December in 2 weeks or something, and then once Christmas hits, it's probably going to be like trying to drag bloody blood out of a stone to get any answers out of anyone. So we might have to start.
Yeah, we need to sort this out. Yeah. I mean, I think for terrain we're doing pretty well.
Yeah, it's just mats, but some of these sponsors have mats, and so I was going to try and sort that. So I'll get onto that. I mean, I started, but I'll probably get back onto it now that it's getting closer.
I think we're getting pretty close now, and it's starting to stress me out a bit. So we should probably
feel bad, talk to Patty about it.
So I'm like, it's halfway through November. What am I doing? What's going on? Yeah. Okay. Right. No. The more mats we can get, the better. And if that doubles as prizes, or I'm not sure how we're going to use it really, but we'll work it out. That's not really a podcast.
No, just to catch up with you at some point about that. Got some ideas.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. I think that was it for the hobby part anyway.
No worries. Sounds like we're keeping busy. Well, let's get on to the main topic then, which is covering the movement and shooting phases. So I think like a lot of people would have heard a lot about the movement stuff already, but we haven't talked about it. And then obviously the shooting stuff just came out today. So do we want to just go? It makes sense just to do movement first. Hey, it's in the order.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does someone want to, Andrew?
Do it in the order of the phases.
Sounds good. Do you want to walk through it, Andrew, and we'll just sort of jump in with our thoughts, or how do you want to do it?
Sure. I'll bring it up right
here. It's a much more digested article. We've had a week to digest this. The second article, we've only just imbibed.
Yeah. Formations. So units in the game will be adopting a formation, which is going to obviously dictate how they act in battle. So there's going to be basically close order and open order. So I'm a little bit unsure, obviously, and obviously Lance formation. So I'm assuming Lance formation is only going to be Bretonians, right? Like I can't.
I mean, they say and for Bretonian Knights, but yeah, I mean,
there may be like maybe there's a Mullason list, undead list that can use it or something like that. But yeah, I think it's primarily going to be Bretonians.
Yeah. So they were the ones I was looking at. So close and open order. I'm still not quite sure what they actually mean by close and open order.
I don't reckon we really know, to be honest.
Yeah, because they kind of touch on it, but you're looking at the picture and it doesn't really divulge exactly.
I mean, the only thing they do say is that most units can only adopt one, and that's close order. So open order, obviously, I don't know. My view of it is it's obviously tied. I think it's tied to the unit type. It's not something that you just elect.
I think it'd be like a specific rule that a unit would have that, you rank them up, but they're they're considered open order rather than closed order.
I'm really interested to see, like why, if it's literally, some unit is always. Do you think that unit that can go in open order can also go in close order?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think so, because that will make it too powerful, I feel. Like the open order is because you've got a unit that, while it can still benefit from rank bonuses, they're more maneuverable. They can go through terrain and that, like it says.
Do you reckon it's almost, what was the 8th edition? Oh God, what was it called? Is it Strider? Where you had Forest Strider, Marsh Strider, or whatever it was. Like, how you had
that whole thing. Yeah.
Do you reckon it's a similar thing to that, but rather than have all these different versions, they're just saying, well, this thing's in close order, so therefore it always has these other properties? And then
it's hard to tell, because it says they're more agile, so it's not just for handling terrain, but they're more agile. Does that? That almost implies that they're ranked up skirmishers. That they can move in any direction.
But they are base to base. They're not like the 8th edition skirmish formation.
No. So it's almost like they've, like in this situation, like with beastmen that get skirmishers, but when they get into combat, they get rank bonus and that type of thing. It's almost like they've, that's the kind of rule that those units might have, or other potentially more fighty sort of skirmishing units. Because wasn't it in 9th Age at some point that like the War Dancers got like all the swift reform rules, but they weren't actually skirmishers? Is that right?
So like light troops sort of thing.
Yeah, light troops. Yeah. So
maybe it's like
that's
that.
what I'm picturing. That would be what they mean.
I think it's light.
Would have been good if they gave a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they're kind of like, oh yeah, this, and it's like almost what it is, but you kind of don't. A bit more information on that would have been nice, but yeah, it's maybe they don't want to give away all the goodies straight away.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. Like it's obviously going to be some sort of a game mechanic, and it does make sense to have that as like those swifter styles of without being a skirmish unit.
I'm not a big fan though of. I guess I don't know. I liked 8th, and even in 6th that we're playing it, I find people do this. They just still movement train rank the skirmish units just a little bit out. Like they don't play 40k with them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Whereas technically before 8th came out, like, if it was skirmishing, even like in 3rd and 4th when you fleed, everything was just a mess and you'd move it all around individually. I was like, I don't want to go back to that. But I guess we'll see.
Will we? Is it because of the additions, or is it just because movement trays became
because we're late
better and better?
Maybe, but then why they should show us. I just felt like it's an easier mechanic, like just spread them out, put them on the board. Like I don't know, is there going to be some really gamey things you can do with skirmishes? Because you can just like span them right out. You sort of couldn't do that in 8th as much, or maybe you probably could, but no one did.
Yeah,
couldn't you?
It got a bit cheesy, but it's part of the game, I suppose. But you do have those cheesy conga lines sometimes going on, and it's just sort of it's playing with the rules, but it doesn't seem like we talk about this being not realistic, but it's a fantasy game. But it's kind of like, like it doesn't seem plausible sometimes. But like screeners and stuff, that's all part of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, true. Do you think there'll be other formations then? Do you reckon they've opened this up to be like, I don't know, because they're called it a formation. Do you think that they might open themselves up to add more down the track for different armies? Or do you reckon this is probably just to tighten up the rule set a bit for what you can currently do anyway?
Yeah. Not really sure, to be honest.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
At least with the extra rules about closing order that, you can't have more models in the rank than the file, that type of thing. I feel like that is a nice way of preventing certain weird shapes.
Yeah, well, you're not going to you won't be able to conga line zombies and stuff, for example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Gets rid of the abuse. Yeah.
Well, can you technically do
Unless
that?
You're marching calling them.
Yeah, they just put in marching column, but then they have no rank bonus
Marching
or anything. And you wouldn't have steadfast, so it's basically, well, I'm guessing you don't, so therefore it's not going to, you're not going to do anything. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's. Is there anything else on formations as such? Oh, I guess the combat order marching column thing.
Yeah.
So I'll keep going. So obviously, as we spoke about, the other two was combat order, which Josh sort of alluded to before. So the unit is wider than it is deep, so more ranks than files. So that's going to be your generic sort of, and that's obviously going to be tied to your rank bonus sort of thing in any steadfast rules if they do that.
Yeah.
And the others marching columns, which I'm sure everybody is very interested to see how this is going to work. So the unit's deeper than it is wide. And in the picture they give you, it's 5 deep and 4 wide. So yeah, I think this is a very interesting mechanic, is how this is going to work, and how do you get into a marching column? How do you get out? If you get charged, how's all that going to sort of work? Obviously, there's going to be penalties because you get, is it a triple move, triple speed? The marching column?
Triple,
yeah, triple march.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys reckon?
Well, one of the things I don't know if I've read this wrong, but combat order is wider than you are deep, and marching is deeper than you are wide. What happens if you want to be square? What does that do?
I think there's an asterisk at the bottom saying,
is there?
The unit needs to be at least as wide as it is deep.
At least as wide as it is deep. So,
so a square is
square is combat order? Yeah, cool. Okay, well, that's cool. But yeah, no, I like it. It's just, I mean, like you said, Andrew, it's just depending. The marching thing's going to be dependent on how easy it is or not to use it, I think. And when I say easy, not so much. Obviously, you've got the logistics of moving your bloody figures between different, what do you call these things, formations or whatever. But there's also just, how long does it take? Is it a turn? Can you swift reform? I think that's going to be the key.
To get in
I like the idea because we've talked about objective play and just some differences around getting around the board. Not, potentially this does that a bit.
Especially if you got movement 3 bloody dwarves.
True.
And one thing I was thinking was, it's certainly a rule that dwarves may just be given, because in Ninth Age where they can do triple marches, it's just a thing they have.
True.
It's certainly possible that they get a special rule where they are counted as a marching column. They're relentless or something.
Without having to.
Interesting if they went that way.
I think they're going to have to for that play style. Like dwarves, they seem to always play like obviously Gomo was saying with the objective play. They always seem like they're tailored to a gun line. A lot of the time. They got so much shooting, so much war machines take up their army book that it's sort of, and just their movement, it limits you so much to, these other styles of play, which is really it gets quite boring. It does when you play them. It's, you're doing the same bloody thing each time. But
do you reckon they just they need more? Okay, that's a different question. I was going to say they need more faster options in terms of, they've got gyrocopters and stuff, but that's a dwarf army book questions, I guess. But what do you think, Josh, around the what do you think's going to be? Is this a swift reform thing? Like, do you think you'll be like using it? Do you reckon it's designed, for units to use it turn 1, turn 2, then change, or
as in like deploy in the marching column and then reform out of it after you march forward? It's hard to know. Like, it's really hard to predict how they're going to rule this, because I'm sure they will have. I mean, it's not just going to be what we think it is, which is reform 1 turn, triple march, and then 3rd turn reform out of it.
You might as well just
way it's going to be the case.
Yeah.
Unless they allow a reform after you finish marching or something like that, so you can go into combat order ready for the next turn. So that way you could maybe deploy in marching column, do your march, and then at the end of that march, change out. Maybe.
Yeah.
With some way of the musician doing it or something like that.
Yeah.
It's hard to know.
There might just be some combat debuff, maybe, or maybe people might want not to do it because they're only going to have four frontage per se, or
I guess the other thing,
model frontage.
If you don't break in combat as much, and we don't know this yet, but how they've talked about pushback and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's some strategies in some of these weaker armies where you're like, well, I've got heaps more than you, so I'm not going to break. I'm going to get pushed back a bit. So what I'm going to do is go marching. I'm just going to march into your face. You're going to hit me. You're going to charge me.
Yeah.
And I'm all in marching order, but I don't really care. I'm going to lose the first round of combat, then reform. But then I've pushed into your territory type thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows?
I hope that's not the case. Surely you should be able to break things if they're in marching column with no rank bonus, surely.
Yeah. Well, true.
Know. We'll see what.
Yeah, we'll see what comes out.
See what happens in that regard. I'll be interested to see whether or not this is a foot troop only rule.
Yeah, I know.
Or whether you can do a triple march with
bus.
Fast cav 30 inches across the board or something like that.
Yeah.
Not that you'll do it with the brats because they're in Lance, but it would be funny when you see those 3 mile long ones suddenly go on triple.
Oh, yeah. That's already. They're already in marching column.
Yeah.
Funny.
Someone forgets to rank up into their Lance
formation.
Well, like stuff like ogres and stuff where they're, it'll be interesting because they're.
That's a good point. No one said that, man. Everyone talks about, I guess, wider than deep, but yeah, with ogres, with those monstrous infantry,
any monstrous infantry,
you don't tend to be that wide a lot of the time.
No.
I mean,
they're rarely deeper than they are wide, though.
They're pushing. I mean, even those pictures, I haven't gone back to look at them now, but I mean, a lot of them were wide. everyone was commenting that there's a lot of wide units. There probably wasn't horde units, but a lot of units were 6 or 8 wide in those shots.
Yeah, quite wide. I'm just picturing now like a column of 3 trolls in a line just marching up the board. it just seems to be. It's just amusing me now. The marching column.
The marching column.
Yeah, they seem to be quite wide. And I guess
pictures that are in marching column. I wonder if I can spot any. They are old world shots. Probably not. Yeah.
All right, I'll keep going. So obviously we hit the skirmishes, so they're not going to be ranked up at all. Sorry. And then they've got to be within an inch of each other. And then obviously they're going to be highly maneuverable, attack flanks, hit and fade, blah, 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 like they always do. I don't think that's anything new. But yeah, open order, we'll see how this is all going to work. But obviously it still fights in ranks. However, they're faster, more agile, and handle tougher terrain better, which is either sort of hinting at you might have reduced movement possibly through terrain, or it's just going to be standard DTs, and perhaps they might not suffer DTs through certain types of terrain. But yeah, I'm assuming possibly what Josh was alluding to with like a light troop sort of situation where you fight in ranks, but you might not get a rank bonus, but you still might get the free reforms. Which we'll see how that goes.
People to attack anyway, potentially, if you're fighting close.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the movement phase, it's divided into 4 parts. So we'll talk about the charge phase. So obviously, first off, you're going to be declaring charges in which the active player nominates each unit they want to charge at their target. Charging is the only way to enter combat, so that's quite typical. And there are a couple of caveats. The target must be visible to the unit and at least partially in its front arc. and your unit can't be fleeing, rally this turn, already engaged in combat, you may have a pre-measure the distance to your targets.
Can I just pause and just briefly go back to skirmishes?
Yeah,
because I was just looking at the distance because when I was reading the 1 inch, I was like, oh, I wonder if that's different. In 6th edition, it was 1 inch apart, but in 8th, it was only half an inch apart. 8th edition, they were really quite tightly packed. I didn't realize how.
What did it say in 8th? Like, did you have to still rank them just an 8, half an inch apart, or just said they just had to be half an inch apart? Could you put any weird formation? It's just we all tended to just.
They still had a front, flanks, and a rear.
Yeah, okay.
And essentially the only difference is the models are slightly spaced out.
Yeah.
So it's really brutal to skirmishes.
But like when you go back to 6 and those early ones, there wasn't really this idea that they're in a unit at all with a facing and all that. It was like
they had no facing.
Well, individual. It was 40k, 1 inch apart coherence.
That's right. That's right. Because in 8th they just had a forward arc of line of sight as well. They didn't have line of sight all around them.
360. Yeah.
Yeah. So they really were just a block, but just spaced out slightly. And it just really
6 is pretty good because they still have a flank to charge into, don't they? You just what your 45 off is like the more models you have in it, isn't it? Creates what arc you're gonna charge them in. So basically, if your arc, I think that's the way it worked, wasn't it?
I can't remember.
It's like it's more 45 within their flank.
Yeah, I don't know. But it does seem like there's going to be some different unit types here that have these. Be interesting to see how they go. And I guess the other thing too is they might just be trying different stuff. This is version 1, I guess, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's not. It doesn't seem that different. Now that, especially, we'll get into the shooting phase later, but now we've seen both, it does feel a lot more to me sort of this 6th to 8th edition.
Yeah, totally.
I'm actually really liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah, like there's a few things I don't like, but I don't not like. It's like, yeah, whatever. Like, yeah, it doesn't bother me. Like we just talked about this one here, which we'll get to around the like. Well, while you're looking that up, Josh, like I guess this is 2 things that I mentioned here. Is last week I mentioned, oh, cool, the order you rally your troops in the strategy phase now, so maybe you can charge. Well, you can't. They've actually done. That's why I didn't like what they did last time. Now you got to have this special rule that says, well, you can't charge if you rallied in an earlier phase. I feel like that's just not great design, but I don't know. It is what it is.
No, because they're turned around already facing, and then it's like.
But you have to remember that unit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like it just, whereas before the old ordering, it just sort of was built into it that you just couldn't because you hadn't declared charges came before you rallied. So anyway, that's cool. Doesn't matter. That was minor, but we had the pre-measure answered because we weren't sure of that.
Yeah, I think with the skirmishes in 6, I found the ruling. I don't think they have like rears or flanks when you charge them, but there's a ruling in the Warhammer 2002 annual where it says that once they're formed into a block during combat, then they consider to have flanks and rear if they get subsequently charged.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Because they form up to you, don't they? Don't you hit them and they form up to you?
Yes. Yeah. I think you attack the closest model and then they form up around you. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Sorry.
Nah, cool. That's all good. So we're talking about declared charges. Declaring charges and pre-measures in. So I don't know, like, what do you guys feel? Like, I think we talked about this a little bit that we would assume it's going to be in. But
Yeah, I was fairly. I would have been genuinely surprised if it was guessing. I wouldn't have minded it, but I'm not surprised at all that it's pre-measuring, and I think there are certainly some advantages about accessibility and ease of use without too much dispute, I suppose.
Sort of, and then we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
But anyway, it is what it is.
I'll keep going.
Yeah.
So after obviously you declared your charge, the inactive players declares their charge reactions. So typically we're going to see the same sort of stuff. So you may hold, you can stand and shoot. There's I believe there's a penalty to that, but we'll hit that later. You can flee, which is going to be pivoting 180 degrees and just try and get out of the charge distance, obviously. If you're caught, you'll be run down and destroyed. So exactly the same as what we've seen before. But there may be some counter charges going on, which is something that we've also seen before from some special units, which is pretty good. Same
you mean
flavor.
like Empire detachments?
Yeah, I
or
reckon.
Is there other ones?
Oh, right.
Oh, no, I was talking about Empire detachments.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is a bit different in the sense that I read this as the unit getting charged can do the counter charge. Or do you think it means? Do you just think it might mean just?
Well, it just says units. Yeah, beyond that summer special alert units.
It's so funny if you're right. That's all it is. Like they're just like everyone's thinking this whole new tactic, and all it is an Empire detachment rule.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, I might have been talking to you guys about it earlier this week, but there is the only other instance I found of countercharging that I was aware of was in this 5th edition Bretonnia book.
Oh yes, that's right. That
I haven't heard anyone else mention this. It was a virtue. Virtue of knightly ardor.
Yeah.
Like 30 points. And it was like, if the unit gets charged, the knight and his unit will respond to the charge by countercharging, where the unit is moved 4 inches forward and the enemy charges normal, and both units counters charging the first turn and the models with the highest initiative.
See, I thought it was more this. That type of thing where it's the unit getting charged might be able to do that.
Might be able to, yeah. Because I've actually really loved that I've never actually got a chance to use it in a game. I can't remember. Yeah. I mean, it almost feels a bit forgiving for it to be able to check counter charge, because it just means you can just push cavalry right up and not have to worry too much about it. But yeah.
Could you do that only with one unit, or is that like you could take it on?
Yeah, it's a specific virtue that a character could have.
Okay.
And then he bestows it on the unit that he's in.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah, it's, there's the problem with that being that, if you're using cavalry right, you shouldn't need to rely on a crush like that, and then you're sacrificing 30 points of other potential, items for something that you probably shouldn't need to worry about too much in the army. But it is what it is. It's cool that there's an option.
Yeah. Well, it'd be a good little safety net if you're going against another cavalry unit, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's probably the main use case. You're probably right.
Yeah.
But that takes away from the whole, cavalry fighting cavalry. It's always like it's such an interesting maneuver. Where you're both like trying to gauge how far you can go and what charges what. If you just have a unit that just can counter charge, it really takes away from the strategy of the game.
The old Mexican standoff.
That's right. And you've got to use your other fast cav and redirectors to try to get in the way of your opponent's cav, and that's what the fun of the game is. Really, that's where all the enjoyment starts from.
Sure.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if these extra little rule things or changes are things that are widespread, or they are just like, it's a Bretonian virtue and they just put a counter charge on there, because they do mention the Bretts around this Swiss stride, which I'm assuming that's just an example, because I'm assuming Swiss stride's a special rule that, every fast thing has.
No, it's only Bretonian knights.
Just the way sometimes they write this stuff. I'm like,
they're special knights, special steeds.
What do you think about the moving of the charges then? It's basically 9th age, is that correct? It's basically so they are going, because they're pre-measuring, they've gone random. As in,
ninth was still 2 and 3.
Yeah, this is more like Warhammer Armies Project.
Sorry,
That's right.
Yeah.
They've lifted it straight from WAP.
Yeah, which is basically
the
highest of the D6 plus movement. So you basically, like, what I love about this is just, again, like what I liked about 6 is just it's a little slower. Like there's more movement. It takes longer to get to combat.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, there's not as much of a threat range around each infantry unit compared to 8.
Yeah.
And so I like that because it's going to open up magic. It's going to open up shooting. Maybe opening up that marching column to have position troops a bit more.
Yeah,
and not
such a good balance. Like when I saw it was pre-measuring and random charges, I was kind of like, oh, okay, that's a shame. But then when I saw how the charge worked, I was like, oh, thank goodness, that's exactly what I was hoping for.
Yeah, you actually said that. I think you wanted that, didn't you? Yeah,
yeah, right. I might have said it. Well, I can't remember if I said it on my podcast or I just said it in chat. But yeah, this is exactly what I was hoping for.
Yeah. Because you don't have that variance. It's not like a massive, you're not going like 7 inches up to whatever it was, fucking 16 for infantry.
Yeah, 16 unit. Inches for a 4 inch movement infantry unit if you're all double sixes, which is so crazy.
Yeah.
So this would be your maximum would be what, 10 inches?
Yeah.
For a 4-inch moving.
I just think, ironically, like I was saying, I think the maths were at 75% chance that you can do an 8-inch charge, whereas in 6, an 8-inch charge for a movement 4 is 100% guaranteed because you move double your movement. It's actually kind of crazy that in a game, how many charges will you make? You might make, I don't know, maybe you make 6. So you're probably going to fail 2 of them, 1 to 2 of them a game. Of 8, just 8 inches, like
if they were 8 inches.
Put a bit more randomness in there, I suppose. Yeah,
you got to have some unknown. You've either got to have guess or random.
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I like that idea, but then you'll get the Kings people going, well, we have both, and it's fine. I was like, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
it's a bit more chessy.
How do they have both?
Yeah, they pre-measure and known distance. It's all about. So I
thought you were saying they had guess and random.
No, the other way. Yeah. So everything's deterministic. So therefore, you're really after positioning or exchanging. Because you sort of know, well, they're going to be able to charge me, but if they do that, then plus again, they've got that whole thing with hordes. You just sort of move your horde up. You can probably take it. You can take the charge, and then you can countercharge and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's a different type of game.
Yeah. But then it gets into the bit I don't like, which is the wheeling part in the combat chart, like taken into account of the charge distance. I think it's a massive mistake.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you really?
I agree.
Hate it. And the only reason I hate it is because you just can't have that discussion ahead of time in a tournament and go, I need to roll 6. Yep, we need to roll 6.
Yeah.
You just can't have it. And so you got to go into that. I should be able to do this, but I'll do it, roll my dice, and then I'm going to sit there and measure. And when it gets within half an inch, there's going to be the whole, I don't know, you haven't measured your wheel properly and all this sort of crap.
Agreed, 100%. There's, especially within the competitive community,
I can see.
You're going to see that 1 out of every 4 games minimum at a tournament where you're arguing over.
Which is funny because I don't want to push that we have to do everything for a tournament either. I don't like that. But, But even in friendlies, I just find it. I just love knowing what I got to roll. Just roll.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine they did it because there are going to be quite a lot of quite wide units, and if some of the rules they're previewed for combat is everyone in the front rank can strike and stuff.
Yep.
So maybe they're trying to have a bit of a penalty for really wide combat units, so they're not going to be able to charge, sideways that easily.
I haven't heard that. That's you're right. Like you got to put all this in context, and that we don't have it all yet, so it's hard to complain about it. But no, it's a really good point because.
But it's a free close the door button, isn't it? So
closing the door is still free,
but you still have to hit. You got to touch. I'm assuming you still at some point have to touch the unit, and so not only touch, you've got to maximize both. I think did they say both? I'm pretty sure they say both. Maximum number of models from both sides into combat.
I would believe that would be allowed.
Yes, how is that?
So that's.
So does that mean that if you can't get the maximum number of models from both sides in combat, even if you have movement to touch? Because in 6th edition, it's kind of like you need to have movement to touch, but if you can't get quite around, you can just sort of clip the unit.
Well, you can clip the unit because I thought it was always, how do you describe this? Like, you can always complete the charge if you can hit the unit, but then I guess doing so, you've got to try and maximize. In 6th case, the number of models you can attack, and sometimes that is only one, so then you can do a full like clip.
Yeah.
But in 8th and this version, it would be, well, even with my max wheel, I can only just hit the edge and I've maximized, but I can still fight. Like I don't have to fully get all my troops because that you wouldn't be able to charge hardly anything, surely.
Well, that's what I was asking. Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
So yeah, you feel you can still charge but not maximize if you don't have the movement for it.
You just can't elect not to, like if you go, hey, you've got extra wheel distance there, you can actually get further and then hit and then free close the door. And then do they even talk about that whole close the door stuff, or was everyone just assuming that? Because I assume it is, but they probably don't go into detail.
No, they don't even mention it.
No.
They never mention it, which I think is fine because it's been a part of the game since forever.
You'll never get into combat.
Yeah, you never. Yeah.
And I wonder if they will just do it so that if you can wheel so that you can touch the unit, you just go maximized, rather than having weird situations.
Because they did that in 8th, wasn't it? Like you did that and then you did the slide. Is that what?
So, I think
that.
I think so. Yeah, like as I feel like, you might have just enough movement to wheel and clip of them.
If they do that and then take that from 8th, then maybe this wheel bit's not that big a deal. Yeah.
It might only be because what is an extra inch or something at most? I don't know. Depend on how far across the unit is that you're charging. But it's, you've only got a 45-inch or 45-degree arc that you're looking at. So the wheel's only going to be so big anyway. Unless you've got a really wide unit, which again,
what I feel like I'll probably end up doing just for my own sanity is like measuring the wheel first.
I think you have to.
Thing.
You would have
and
to
then
work
stopping there, then measuring the rest of it and going, look, I need to roll this. You agree? Yeah, bang, and then roll my dice. You know what I mean? But agree on the wheel first before you even I'm wheeling 2 inches. You happy with that? Okay, now I'm going to lay my tape measure down for the rest of it and go, it's a 7. You're okay, I need to roll blah. Because it takes away that whole like, here's the number and now I'm going to pretend to move this and then,
No, I think it's what we're going to have to do, which unfortunately is going to take more time because then you're going to have to, like, I don't know what you were thinking about measuring the wheel, but because, are you going to measure the wheel and then put a dice down and then measure the distance, or are you going to move the unit, or are you going to put like markers behind the unit and then wheel them and then measure,
this is the problem.
It's going to take time.
Had a really good system. I'll take your point though, like with really wide units, it could probably get a little bit weird because you can do these big, like you could be really close to someone, but sometimes do like a real weird charge. Like I remember because you had that free 90-degree wheel in 8th, you could be like your closest unit could be a certain way that you couldn't, like there could be impassable between you and the other bit, and then but you go around it, do a 90-degree turn, and then go infinite bang, hit them. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to describe on a podcast. People can't see what I'm looking at.
How that works.
Yeah.
Well,
you just measured closest to closest, and then as long as you rolled that, you could move infinite amount of distance with one 90-degree
wheel. It was a 90-degree wheel at any point. Yeah.
So like I've had instances where someone's on the left, there's a bit of impassable, and I'm sort of on the other side of it, and my closest is going through that impassable, so it's like 5 inches away. But I'm going to go, like, I'm going to run, sort of 90 degrees to them, then turn 90 degrees and go into them. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Yeah. But it is quick. That's what was really good about it. 8th in terms of just the, just agree, bang, bang, roll the dice.
Bang,
done.
Yeah. 8th was the addition of quality of life changes. I feel.
Anyway. There's probably enough griping on. I've harped about wheels. I just wish they didn't exist in the game. But anyway,
you hate wheels.
I hate wheels.
Can I ask a question before we move on from that? Have you guys heard about the everybody in the front row gets into combat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how's it going to work if I'm only clipping a unit in the front?
Well, I mean, we don't know because we haven't seen next week's, but I would say everyone's still gets
it might not matter.
But what happens if you've got now one unit that got charged by 2 or 3 units in the front? Surely you're not going to have 3 units all striking.
I think they all strike, and you probably just need to choose who you strike against, potentially.
Yeah. I think it might be.
that just seems a bit abusive that you could have like one unit only cornering, and yet the entire unit gets to strike. Like it just seems a bit.
It does, and I really hope they don't do that. But
yeah,
so far the preview, I feel like that's
I mean,
surely not. Yeah, no, because that seems like a bit of a. I was just thinking about that before. I'm like, well, but I mean, if you do this corner clip, I'm like,
well, I'll tell you, like, just to devil's advocate on that, how dumb is it that I can corner to corner and only those two dudes fight? Like, it's the same stupidity. They've got these two units running into each other.
But if but if you got another unit there, like as in like two units front to front, and then you get another unit, because you know how sometimes you double charge. You might only get one in.
Yeah, but I just feel like it's just representing that they're all fighting. Like,
they're all in there.
You know, and rather than have these horde attacks sort of support, well, we don't know this. We might still get support attacks and stuff. It just might be a way to sort of go, hey, you can get more attacks in here, but you're not gonna really abuse it because you're not getting, like, you could go 10 wide, but that means you've got to go like, you only get to get maybe 2 rank bonus. So they're going to have to do something with this rank bonus to make it attractive to also want a rank bonus. But I guess we're going to have to find that out.
I really hope they do.
Yeah.
Something like that.
A lot of our answers, I would imagine, won't be answered next week, but having seen all the phases, I think there'll be a lot answered.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Answers and questions raised.
So yeah, third step is compulsory moves. So obviously this accommodates fleeing units that have failed to rally, but it also includes random movement such as Night Goblin Fanatics, which we've all discussed, which is quite strange because you place them during the strategic
we're
phase.
gonna have to see how that works.
And then obviously models failing their stupidity test will do their what
so there is a big change here, and that is you move charges, declare and move charges, and then do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Which is probably fine.
I think it's easier.
I think so.
Tend to forget to do them, like between the moving of charges, unless you specifically remember to do it in that order.
Yep.
It just flows better.
And they're like, oh crap, I didn't move my fanatics, and then hang on, but you charge through them, and then all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. And then remaining moves.
So yeah, we're obviously compulsory and remaining have sort of done the swapsy. So the mechanic of movement, as you expect from multi-models movement, it's going to be quite involved. In general, units may move or march, performing maneuvers along their way, which is obviously doing the wheels. And the first case, they move up to their movement characteristic, and then they may shoot later in the turn, or they can obviously do their double pace per se, which is obviously the old march move. But they sacrifice the ability to perform any maneuver or complex wheel and the ability to shoot next turn. So it's very reminiscent of what we're sort of used to.
Yeah.
It still doesn't really allude to the march formation, how that's really going to work during this phase. But yeah, it's like I kind of like what I'm sort of looking at.
I mean, it's very familiar, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like we're not going to... I don't think anyone's going to struggle who's played Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah.
Picking this up.
Kind of like that you're spending a quarter of your movement to do, a 90-degree turn.
This is 6th, isn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah, so you could still have, like a dwarf unit or a cavalry unit, and it's going to be, a quarter, not like a 1 inch. So it still gives less moving units a lot more options, I suppose.
Sorry, was it 6? Was that a quarter or was that an inch? Yeah, have I got that wrong?
I thought it was an inch, but
you might be right.
But yeah, it's
What's with the redress the ranks thing?
I think that'd be, I don't know. Is that like if you do turn and you move a bit and you want to like increase or is it just in general increase or decrease by a rank or more? You know how there was that stuff? What was that in? That is 6, isn't it? You can take 2. You can, is it 6? Half a unit, half a move is 2 figures from either side or whatever it was. Okay, geez, I should look that up.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Like I was changing formation, like changing ranks and files.
Oh, right.
So if you want to go from 4x5 to a 5x4, that's redressing the ranks, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, like
without
a partial
reform. Like a full reform, you can change facing and everything. But if you just want to like get an extra rank bonus by making yourself a bit small or whatever. What was the rule in 6 though? It was
well, maybe that's what the reform would be a change of your ranks structure and a turn to some.
Yeah. It's just weird that it says redress ranks or reform, like they're 2 separate things. I don't know. Let's wait to see what. I was wondering also it was something to do with morale or something, like reorganizing the unit after you've rallied. I don't know.
I was thinking maybe shooting. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe the reform I thought was always changing everything.
Yeah,
like,
so you
around
pivot
centering around
and your ranks. Yeah, that's what I thought.
What was the other thing that was? I thought it was called redressing ranks, but maybe it wasn't. This is great podcasting, trying to find something on the...
I'm really not sure what you're talking about. I'm not familiar with the rule you're trying to find.
Yeah. It's called... I'll have to get my book out. No, declare movement. It'd be a movement, surely. Turn,
are you looking
change
on the
formation.
App?
There it is. It's change formation.
Change formation.
Here it is. A unit can also change its formation by adding or reducing the number of ranks in which it's deployed. For example, a unit consists of 2 ranks, blah, blah, blah. A unit must surrender half its move to either add or deduct 1 rank. A unit may add or deduct 2 ranks if it does not move. That's redressing, I thought. But it's called change formation. So I guess that's what they're talking about.
Right.
Maybe.
But you can still shoot and you can still do a partial move. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 Whereas a full reform, you probably can't do anything, I'm guessing. You might be able to shoot, but maybe just not move at all. Obviously, it's just.
I don't think a reform you could do a whole lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just obviously called change formation in 6. I don't know what it was. I guess it wasn't really needed in 8th because you had swift reform.
Yep.
Probably. I don't know. That's what I was talking about, Josh. Just had the word wrong.
It's close.
Found it.
Cool. Where are we at? Yeah, so then they do the wheel. Just trivia, how many times do you have to measure on that wheel maneuver diagram?
What? Measure it?
Yeah.
Like
how many
4
measurements
times,
are you making? There's 5, I think.
Oh, is there 5?
Yeah, so
1,
you're turning,
2,
move forward,
3, 4,
turning,
5.
move forward, turning. Yeah.
It's what I fucking hate wheels. But anyway.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway.
2 movements. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice little trivia.
Or to go straight ahead. So it's probably a dumb move what he just did then. But anyway, while moving unit my wheel, okay, that's what you do. Oh, that's it. That's the movement.
That's it.
I mean, it's
the movement.
Yeah, it's all pretty familiar. I heard some stuff today. People like going, because they saw the shooting phase and they're like, just happy because I thought it was going to maybe be a 6-page AOS type like rule set. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Why would I never thought that? I always thought this was going to be quite. They already said they were looking at versions of 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th edition.
Yeah,
I never thought it would be
editions had
something
magic phases.
totally different.
I think the dropping the magic phase is what scared people.
Yeah,
that was the thing that made them go, "Oh, how far?"
And the strategic phase. Just looking at the strategic phase, I thought it was going to be a bit of a rebranded style of I
think I've just been looking at Horus Heresy too much, realizing that it's just 7th edition 40k, so they're just doing a very similar thing.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, cool.
It's good. It'll keep the old bloods happy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, this is the thing.
Well, hopefully.
Well. I'm not happy. There's wheels and there's fucking. I'm already yelling at the sky.
Do you think there'd be some weird, like, little protractor instrument you could get that you could actually use to accurately measure wheels?
Just pivot. They should have just got rid of it.
But like you can have like a retractor that's got like it's got a certain length, and if you're measuring at one length, at what angle, it'll show you how far that wheel's gone. I don't know. I feel like that might come in handy when we're measuring wheels for charging and stuff, and suddenly it's actually kind of important.
Yeah, the only other thing I thought, it probably doesn't make sense, but if there was a way just to go, well, if you're wheeling, you got to measure like, I don't know, like one side of your base, like your right-hand side to your left-hand side for where you're going to get to, and then you can then you can face any way on the way type thing. So like, I don't know if you can get what I mean. Like,
no, I don't get what you mean.
Yeah, okay. So like if you're going straight ahead, and you're going to do a wheel to the right, then just measure the distance from your right-hand side all the way to the left-hand side, and that's going to be your movement. But you can basically move anywhere in there as long as that doesn't go above your movement.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like a reformy thing, but not – you'd probably have to make a rule that you can't pivot by more than 90 degrees or something. But, yeah, because then you're not having to, like, wheel stuff. You're just like going, well, I've moved up here and I've turned a bit, but providing my outside is to my inside was not over my movement, then I'm good. And then you don't have to do this minuscule stuff.
It's hard because it's circular movement, and it's very hard to accurately measure without an instrument.
Anyway, I've gone on enough wheeling. It's in the game. I'm going to love it.
Damn your wheeling.
It's coming back. I don't actually hate it. This is awesome that it's come back. So
yeah,
cannot complain. I'm going to cry. I've told you guys I'm going to cry when I get the rule book. So
tears of joy.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a very emotional day on pre-order day, which I hope's not on CanCon. But anyway, we'll see.
Who wants to hit shooting?
I can go through shooting. Okay. So yeah, this article came out. What time was? How long ago was it? Do you think? Almost 20 hours
3
ago.
3 a.m. this morning. So
3 a.m. this morning. Yeah. So yeah, so much fresher than the movement phase, and we've probably had less time to really chat about it that much. But it's a lot of interesting things in here and stuff that I think I enjoyed reading this article. I was like, oh wow, this is proper Warhammer going on here. It's shooting phase. So it starts with they're broken into 4 steps, which is declare targets, roll to hit, roll to wound, and remove casualties. And everything shoots in the phase. So the bowmen or your war machines or your shooty magic stuff as well. And then so they've got a bit of a preview of some weapons, maybe the longbow, which is 30-inch range of strength 3, 0 AP. There's got a couple of interesting special rules there, though. It's got Armor Bane 1, which is very mysterious. When I first read that, I actually thought I just misread it as Armor Piercing 1, and I was like, oh, cool, where is it getting Armor Piercing now?
Yeah.
When I went back, I was like, oh, wait, there's an AP column and it's 0.
Yeah.
So very hard to know what that necessarily is going to be, like, is that going to be armor piercing at a certain range? Is it going to ignore certain armor saves? Like, is it just going to ignore 6-up save or something like that, but otherwise not be armor piercing?
I don't know. But yeah, it's weird how that. I mean, overall, it's whatever it is, it feels like bows are going to be slightly better.
Slightly better.
Because
they also have volley fire.
Yeah, they've also got volley fire, which we don't know is because 8th edition volley fire was everyone could shoot if you didn't move.
I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I think. Yeah, wasn't it that this?
Because 2 ranks could always.
Behind, the front 2 ranks could always shoot. I think it was half of the other ranks could shoot. If you hadn't moved.
Half.
I think it was half. Was it? Or
was it the 3rd?
I'm sure I read that the other day.
We haven't played 8 for a while, have we? I don't mind this because obviously it says somewhere else, which we'll probably get to, that only the front model do fire, unless they've got volley fire. So I do like that they've got the ability to get more. It is half of the remaining ranks.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So Volleyfire might just be the second rank, but at least you're being able to get a little bit more shots out. Because I know last time we talked about that we hoped shooting would get a bit of slight buff in a way.
Yeah.
We were sort of hope. I mean, it's hard to balance a little bit, really, about how much of a buff you get.
Yeah, because you give
but it's always been a
much
bit
and
weak.
the wood elves come out and they just destroy everyone. So.
Because before I go through the catapult, it was going into that Volleyfire thing. So the rules that they've given us is that shooting is the front rank. You've got to be able to see the unit. Only the front rank can shoot unless you're on a hill.
So that's
very much 6th edition.
That's 6, yeah.
That's like straight up 6th edition.
Yeah.
Which is surprising. I really was expecting they would keep the chunkier units of the the 8th edition style, which is what the photos were showing in the previews as well. I guess with the Volleyfire special rule, the previews are all about the plutonium longbowmen, so that's probably why they're big units. But I'm just going to see what other.
That is longbow too. Like, so what? Like, do you reckon screaming like skeleton archers? They just got bows. Do you reckon they won't have Volleyfire? Surely all bows will have Volleyfire.
I think all bows will have Volleyfire.
I reckon they'll have Volleyfire.
I don't think they'll discriminate.
I do like the. I'd love to be able to like put 20 skeletons down in 10 by 2 by 10 or whatever, however you say it, and they all fire. Bows. I don't think that's OP.
No.
And it's nice to know that you don't have to be on a hill to do it.
Well, it gets a bit silly when you start with these like really long formations just to maximize your fire.
Yeah.
I found that was just getting a bit over the top. Like, I don't think 2 ranks firing is, that.
Like, especially as we find out, they've still got -1 to hit at long range. So
yeah.
So I'll just talk about the catapult rule that we've got going on here. I mean, there's only so much you can really draw from these special rule terms. Because Screaming Skull catapult, similar stats to what is previously, up to 60-inch range, strength 4, 8 in the brackets, AP 1, -1, and -3 in the brackets. Interesting though, isn't it, that they've given the AP separately like that?
Well, yeah. What do you reckon that means?
It means that I feel like they've decoupled AP from strength.
Totally. I think that. I don't know if that's going to be the case in close combat, but definitely I think they've decoupled it, which is probably good because you can do this sort of stuff.
Could be good at not being like a character killer. Like if you got like a 1-up character and you're really worried about, getting sniped by a catapult, it gives you more survivability.
Yeah. Because they've nerfed the AP a bit because it's strength 8 and it's only AP -3. It should be -5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they've made that a bit more, like I think, again, we don't want to go to a monster-heavy thing, but Games Workshop do like their centerpiece models and they've reduced the under the template here to D3+1.
Yeah.
And they've reduced the AP effectively.
Oh, so that used to be D6 under the.
Pretty sure,
the
it
circle?
was Screaming Skull was
Like
just a catapult. Yeah, D6.
Okay. Yeah, right. Wow. D3+1. That's
out
of the 9th age, isn't it? Or wasn't it D3+1 and then D3+2
You've got to do
if it was
trigonometry
or something?
and calculus to work out the.
Early on it was. And I think 9th age also decoupled the AP from the strength at some stage too, which is around the time I started lost interest in it. Did you ever play it with that dynamic, Andrew?
Yeah.
So did you find it hard to remember? Like, because I feel like it's an extra stat. No? Okay.
It was just another stat.
Okay.
Was it pretty consistent though over time? You just sort of learn what weapons. Like it's not like it's not like 40K. Like it's not like we've got billion different weapons in the game and stuff. So hopefully it's not.
Yeah. I just say it'll be interesting to see if in combat they still have uncoupled strength or not. They could easily do it. Like maybe they've gone with like great weapons. It'll be only 1 AP.
You know how we talked about how we're going to balance spears, halberds, and swordsmen. This could be a way to do it.
Yeah.
Halberds could have, I don't know, better armor piercing, but maybe spears have, whatever, whichever way. You know what I mean? Like you could play around with it a bit different.
It's pretty exciting, isn't it? Like it's showing that it's pretty well thought out. Actually, they haven't just gone back to the well of the old rules. They're actually incorporating a lot of the newer rules from
and
the community
community,
versions.
Totally, and that's Well, it saved AOS, so hopefully they can do the same here.
Yeah. And this is one thing we talked about a bit the other week.
Yep.
Blast template, still in the game.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
It's clunky,
Warhammer, isn't it?
It's hard to divine what the direction the dice is, but it is Warhammer.
I mean, here I am whinging at wheels. Templates and scatter dice are like a million times worse than the wheel.
It's always been in the game. It's even in age. Like, I know.
Just getting those players where they do the scatter and it just somehow lands directly on the unit. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's right.
I didn't mind. Like, I know, like Daz used to carry around, and I don't mind. Like, I'll probably do this in tournaments if this is how it ends up. Like, like those pages where you've got the you don't need the 20 anymore, the 25 mil, 30 whatever mil squares, and you got the template over it, showing you where it would hit if it landed in the middle of the unit.
Oh, if you got a direct hit,
yeah. But you can usually then go, well, I've hit the third guy from the end there. Then you can sort of work it out. And if someone pulled a chart like that on me, I'd go, yep, let's just use it. And it just solves everything. We don't have to line it up. Yeah. But I also understand if someone, I mean, you know what I'm like, Andrew. If I hit Andrew's unit, I let him put it down and tell me how many it killed. Like, I don't measure it. I'd rather
I'm sort of the same,
I'd just rather the opposition tell me how many people I hit of his. Because then I don't care. If he wants to cheat, he can cheat. I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, it'll be a 25 mil grid now, though.
No, you don't. You usually you give me millions. Like, are you sure it hit that many? No, a good point though. They haven't changed the blast, size of the template. The base size has gone up, and the wounds have gone down, and the APs have gone down. So, interesting. I haven't heard that one yet, Josh. So
that is a very good point.
Insightful. You could say.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to steal that tomorrow when I do a YouTube version of this.
Was it Strength 4? Oh, no, it would be Strength 4. Yeah, the 6th edition one, wasn't it? Yeah. I was trying to think.
Did they mention scatter in these?
No, but I wonder if that's what bombardment and things are. We don't know really.
You can only assume that's what bombardment is. Because it says it shoots using the bombardment special rule.
I'd imagine cumbersome is can't move and shoot.
Correct, yeah.
Or something like that.
Well, it says move or shoot as a separate special rule on the third line. Yeah.
Okay, well then cumbersome might be...
can't stand and shoot, maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, it could be, which makes sense.
All the other ones make sense, I guess.
Yeah, the other ones sort of make sense, or they'll become apparent, I guess.
Hopefully Screaming Skull's the same. Cause 1 wound, got to do a panic test. I like that.
Yeah. It's very thematic.
And hopefully BSBs don't reroll panic tests. That'd be cool.
I really hope so. Yeah. I'm more hopeful. I feel like there's a good chance they won't. I feel like they're adding in a whole morale section to the game, and it's really true. That happens. So I think psychology is going to be an much more important part of the game than it was in 8th.
Yeah.
So then we're actually another one that's been kept from the old rules, where some people were worried that they might get rid of this, is ballistic skill is still a number between 1 and 10 rather than just a 4+ or something like that, like it became in AOS. So it's the same rules. So ballistic skill 3 is still 4s to hit, ballistic skill 4 is still 3s to hit, but they have added a little bit of an extra bonus for BSs of 6 or higher, which is you can re-roll your miss. And the higher your BS is, the better the reroll is. So BS of 6 is a 6 up on a reroll, going all the way up to BS of 10, have a 2 up on the reroll. Which is such a little bit of extra rule. Like, I think it's going to hardly ever come up. But I think it is nice just to tie that up a bit.
Do you think, I only just thought of this off the top of my head, and they probably won't do this, but do you reckon anything like that could end up on the weapon skill to weapon skill chart? To sort of get rid of the rerolls to... hit, like the elves always had hits and rerolls. This could be I don't know, probably not though. It's a difference. I don't know. It's sort of an inbuilt reroll in a way.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like this change was just to tie up a weird thing where massively high ballistic skill provided no benefit whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think that's probably more what it is.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm keen to see if they do fiddle around with the hit chart because there are things they could potentially change.
The only thing with this, so what are some of the wood elf or high elf really good units? Do any of them have just a base ballistic skill 6, or is it only the like the heroes and stuff?
Yeah, I think Way Watchers are 5. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, as far as I'm aware, it's just characters.
Because I wonder if any of those
maybe the Way Watcher champion
buffed,
would be 6
to that, because at least you're getting that extra roll in. Maybe. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's a weird mechanic for me. I think it's just like a waste of. They should just add it to up.
Weird dice roll. Yeah.
It's just it's more weird sort of rules that we didn't need.
I would have just done what you guys were talking about. Just don't have a long range penalty, and then things hit more.
Because we go to they mention a few negative modifiers. So it's -1 to hit if you've moved, you're long range, you're receiving like standing and shooting, or partial cover.
So we don't know what that means. Is that partial cover is -1, or is this just describing soft and hard cover?
I reckon that's -1 to hit if it's soft cover or partial cover, and I suspect that they've left out the bit of hard cover, which probably is -2 to hit.
Oh, okay, you reckon it's still in there? Okay, yeah.
I reckon. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it looks so similar, doesn't it? Like this could be lifted from any version of Warhammer. Almost.
Yeah, like that's all just classic, and the stuff about 7s, 8s, and 9s to hit is again
the same.
Just, the old stuff, and then then we hit a good old wound chart, which again is so glad to see it. Such an important part of the game. And
you don't like AOS just rolling the same dice.
No,
you don't like a goblin hitting a giant or dragon on the same as the giant hitting the goblin, whatever it is.
Ridiculous. Yeah. This chart made me realize that this game is going to be, it's not going to like it's almost like this chart is between 6th and 8th edition.
Yeah.
Where 8th edition was everything got to wound everything, at least it was 6 up.
Yeah.
In 6th edition, I think it was more than.
I think you could do it in 8s. Yeah, there was only a couple.
You could. I think if you were strength 3 and if it was toughness 7, you couldn't wound it.
Yeah.
Sorry, the other way around. Yeah, this one's given you an extra 6 up, I think.
Yeah, like right? 2. I think it's 2.
Oh, 2. So, okay, yeah, you might be right. Because it was over double. You wouldn't be able to do it. Is that what it was?
Yeah, if it was more than double. Yeah, so if you were strength 3 and a strength 7, a toughness 7, you couldn't wound it. Whereas this, it's strength 3 and then it goes to toughness 9 before you can't wound it. So it's much less likely.
The only thing I don't like about this is how do you calculate it in your head? But I guess you just got to visualize it. It's quite not that hard actually, because there's only it's only weapon skill. Actually, they've gone weapon strength to wound. Oh, that's right, weapon strength targets toughness.
It's not a calculation. I mean, you just remember if it's more than 6 units higher. Isn't it more than 6 or 6?
It's pretty rare that's going to come up as well.
Yeah, it's like 4s. They've got it goes, once you hit 6, there's 6 lots. There's 4 lots of 6s. And then after that, and then that only applies for strength 4 and below. If you're strength 5, you can always wound on a 6 at least.
Yeah. So the normal part of the wound chart hasn't changed.
No.
It's just the extreme toughnesses that have changed slightly. And if you're more than 6,
you don't get a lot of toughness 9 stuff getting around either, really.
No, you're gonna rarely encounter it, really. But I think it is. Yeah, it's if anything, it's just.
I mean, there's a few things here we're noting where there's a few buffs here to high toughness, high wound things. You know what I mean? I'm getting less wounds at me. I'm getting less AP, and also low strength can't hurt me.
If you're buffing your toughness,
I'm just saying in general in the rules here. So I'm like, so if I'm a dragon or if I'm a big monster, or I'm liking these rules. You know what I mean? Because I can get survivable. I'm not getting one shotted off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a good thing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. No, probably. Yeah, exactly. But we might be seeing a lot more cool, big, monstery things on the board, which, again, what I'm saying is I think Games Workshop likes selling big centerpieces.
Yeah, true. It's the return of Hero Hammer.
It potentially could be, but I mean, any hero, any hammer coming back is good.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So go through the table, and then I think it just talks a little bit about armor now. So yeah, they go compare the armor penetration of the weapon with the armor value of the model it's hitting. So yeah, that's really specify. You're really comparing the AP value. They don't make no mention of strength.
It. Yeah. Which I mean, it's good. I like it. It's different. Has it ever been like that in fantasy? No, only 40k.
No.
Okay.
Not that I've seen. Yeah.
Except ninth age, you said split it.
Yeah, ninth age they did. Yeah, which I think it's a good change. And yeah, there's a ward save still, which obviously can't be modified by AP. And then there's they talk a bit about removing casualties and taking pain text if you have to.
Yeah.
Is there much else? Oh yeah, there's a little bit about magic at the bottom there.
Yeah, some different types of weapon.
Yeah.
Well, like weapons / not weapons. They're really special rules. Breath weapons. What about this skirmish cavalry can fire and flee?
I missed that bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Not all of them, just some. But,
skirmish cavalry. I mean, that whole phrase is. Do they mean they mean fast cavalry? Is that what they were meaning to write there, or are they talking about actually skirmishing cavalry?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Or fast cav now skirmishes, like.
And we're going to be making a lot of different movement trays, hey.
I mean, they could be. Like, there's no reason they couldn't be.
No, it's just a pain in the ass to move.
Except for line of sight, I guess. It's a bit weird. Yeah, the movement trays. The movement we're going to have to do new movement trays anyway with as hitherto unknown size of the cavalry base, which I still haven't.
Dwarven Iron Drakes are definitely here, although we might have seen them in pictures, so maybe they are.
They're talking about Cinderblast bombs with the Iron Drakes. I'm like, that can quick shot, but then don't they have that little Iron Drake gun? I'm a bit confused.
Remember. Hey, what was the Iron Drake? What was the alternate model when you built Iron Drake?
The Iron Breakers.
Oh, was it? Oh, really? Okay. God.
Yeah.
Okay. Right here. That might get onto my faction discussion I wanted to talk about, but we're probably running out of time. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, but I like this fire and flee. At least they're bringing some other. I don't know what it is or what it'll do, but it's cool to.
Well, I imagine it's a standard shoot with a flee.
And then run away.
Charge reaction.
It's pretty cool.
I
just really wish something like Undead Skeleton Horseman could do it or something.
Yeah, no, it's got to be Glade Riders for sure. Yeah. That's it's got to be all the elves.
You never bloody catch them though. Freaking annoying. Anyway, it is what it is. And then then obviously you shoot your magic as well, which we knew about. So well, I mean, do you want me to do this bit? Or?
Yeah, you can do that bit because I'm going to go through this logo in a minute. So
I guess it answers a couple of things. Well, it talks about human magic is human wizards using battle magic. So obviously they have, not split the colleges up and just got this battle magic. So, I mean, the downer to me there is I hope there's still a fair bit of different types of magic in there. But
not just 6 spells,
Yeah, but I mean, I guess we don't know. And obviously with the fireball here, there's not like that extra, 8th used to have a lot of that, 3 different levels of spells and stuff like that, where this is just straight up whatever it is. We still don't know how casting technically works.
Yeah, I know.
And what do you make of this whole, do you reckon this is written this way because it's trying to get through everyone else's head that AP and strength are detached, that they have to write 2d6 strength 4 hits, each with an AP of dash. And then down on the next spell is d6 plus 1 strength 3 hits, each with an AP of dash.
Because the AP value has to be specified for everything now.
But why wouldn't you just say default of AP 0? Just
as opposed to dash.
Instead of a dash,
And then not even write it.
Oh, you mean like everything is 0 unless otherwise specified?
Yeah, it just seems very weird.
Yeah, that would have been. I think it's because everyone's going to read 2d6 strength 4 hits.
And then think it's minus,
think it's
minus 1 to armor save. That's what I was thinking. That's what I'm guessing. Like, is it written that way because they know 99.9% of people are coming from a world where strength 4 would have given you a -1 save?
Yeah,
for sure. And maybe in later iterations I won't need to put that in, but I feel like for this one
that makes sense. Then I think that's cool. So Magic Missile, pretty common. I like. So the other thing with the Magic Vortex? So Fireball's pretty simple, 24-inch bang.
Pretty simple, and I'm pretty sure 9th Age also had the similar effect with the fire, like the whole fire magic was strength 4 with no armor piercing.
Ah, you're right. That's right. I remember that. Yeah. So it was great against killing elves. Yeah. Which it always is probably. The Vortex though, D6 plus 1 strength 3 hits isn't that great, but do you reckon all the Vortexes are going to be similar to this, where like trying to get away from like throwing like a purple sun down someone's like line, and it's more of like you can put it anywhere you want and do a bit of damage, but from then on it's moving around?
Just moves around. I hope so.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And certainly not game destroying.
Yes, that's right.
Like they're just nice little things. They're like, oh yeah, that'll be fun.
But so you could put it right on someone and do a fair bit of damage initially, but then it's going to go wherever.
Yeah, my dwarves aren't doing an initiative test, are they, Josh?
And obviously this is a new one. Demonology we're seeing is a different. So definitely the magic's going to be different. I mean, the cool thing is it's written as battle magic and demonology and stuff as well. So I don't think it's just going to be, again, this AOS worry that a certain character will have these 2 spells hanging off them. I feel like there still will be spell laws, and they've already mentioned laws. So hopefully that's the case. You just, they might might only be Empire that just has to use battle magic, which is this blend of them,
Yeah, must be like. Oh, I mean, it predates the colleges of magic, isn't it? This period.
Yeah, it does. But remember that, like to me, that just is only Empire. Like High Elves still know all the like magic still exists, and the elves still know it.
Well, this is only just saying battle magic. Like battle magic just might be just like one law that you have access to. You could have access to. Humans could have access to 4 laws. Maybe battle magic is just a law. For some reason, they just called it battle magic.
Well, it used to be. That battle magic was the 4th edition magic supplement. There used to be a battle magic deck, wasn't there? Or did they split it up in battle magic? Oh, hang on. I think battle magic came out as the initial one, which only had a few spells, and then they brought the battle magic supplement out, which split it all up.
Surely they're not doing one law for humans.
No. I don't know. But see, like, why would Bretonnia be affected by the colleges of magic change?
Yeah.
That's to me, magic still exists, whether or not you know about it in different units. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Might flip some canon around, just change a bit of history.
Cool.
Anyway, the overall summary, what do you guys think of the movement and shooting phase so far?
Good.
Yeah, really, really hopeful with the changes, actually.
Yep.
Very... much better than I thought they were going to be. Much
take
more
away.
Thought out.
Imagine in a world where, who cares about AOS? I'm not saying get rid of it, but imagine if it was, end of 8's coming up. This is 9th edition, and they put this in front of you. You wouldn't think any different. You'd go, oh,
it's Warhammer Fantasy.
It's Warhammer Fantasy.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I feel like if that was the case, it would never have come like this.
No.
Oh, no. You know what I mean? Like if this was coming straight out of 8, there's no way it would have been this good.
No, it would have been getting.
Wouldn't have been developed.
We've got super hordes.
They've had 4 years. Hordes. 4 years to super hordes. Oh my god!
You can 8 dice spells now.
Yeah. Pay to win.
Funny.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Geez, 2 things already took 2 hours nearly. Do you want to? What have you been up to with the slow go then, Josh?
Oh my god!
I might leave my discussion of units and what do I call it, the factions. I want to chat about that at some point, but we'll see how we go. We've got time, so not this episode, in future episodes.
Right. The slow grow. So it was super. Really, really enjoyed it actually. It was kind of funny because I've never really run anything like this before. and so getting all the bits together and making sure it all worked okay was a little bit stressful, but at the same time, as you know, in the moment when the games were being played, it was great. So I actually headed in the night before to set up the tables because House of War had sort of mentioned to me previously that it's usually a good thing to do just to get things ready. But I think they thought it's because we'd be like the whole day or something
games.
Like that. Yeah. So as much as I did that, and it was actually quite helpful because it gave me opportunity to scope out how much terrain they actually have and what they do have and don't have. Because then actually I went in and set up the tables best I could, and then I realized I didn't have any fences and only like 3 forests. And I was like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to bring some extra gear from home tomorrow morning. And I had no water terrain at all. I didn't have any portable water terrain, so I couldn't do anything about that. But yeah, it was beneficial for me to head in the night before and actually get a sense of where all the terrain is and set it all up. And I was probably there for about 45 minutes or so.
So this was 400 points, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was only on 4x4 tables.
Small games. Yeah.
Okay,
small
cool. Games.
Yep.
And then so then I headed in the next morning. Had like one thing I did try to do this time, which I probably won't do again, is I did try to do like a draw. Like you probably saw it on the event.
I did.
Where I'd done like different verses and that type of thing.
Yeah,
it's probably more of a headache than it's worth, really. Because we had like, you know, as you do with these kind of thing, you do have people like go, I can't come in, you know, this time will be next month, that kind of thing. So you know, every few days that would happen in the week or two preceding, and I just keep fiddling around with it, and then probably that night I had 3 people that couldn't come, or that morning, and so you know, again, it wasn't too like I could just shift it around, but physically having a draw actually. It was probably not ideal anyway, because it's just like people, it's not like a tournament where people are coming in and they know they have to be there at 8 a.m. or something. So, you know, it's sort of like they trail in over like 40 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Which means that if you've got a draw, you're sort of waiting around for your opponent to turn up.
Yeah.
Probably much easier for people just to pair up when they get there and
whatever
order you arrive. Ideally play someone new, but it's sort of, I think it's so informal. It's probably much easier just to do that. And because the other thing was, if I have a draw where it's an even number of people and I'm playing against someone, and he arrives early on, then, you know, something I'm playing rather than being free to help
everyone else.
Things, you know, whereas if there's no draw and people are just coming and pairing up, then I can just be, you know, otherwise I'm occupied and just help facilitate that type of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's definitely what I'm going to do next month. And I'll just be if I just show up.
With those cancellations, though, you still had a few people turn up there, didn't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So because it was. I think we had 19 people sign up for it.
Yeah,
and then probably had 5 or 6 that cancelled, and then 2 that just didn't turn up on the days.
Right. Okay,
but it had 10 people turn up plus me, so it was 11 people, which was actually, I was still like, that's as many people as when I set this up I was hoping for, really.
Yeah.
And I feel like the momentum from the first one, I think there's going to be some of the people didn't come and are like kind of like, oh man, I really wish I had now. So I feel like we might get
they'll get their 600 points done up,
which is good and bad because that means I have to make sure I set up more tables. 5 tables was already, it took me a while to set up because there's always, the thing with House of War is they have a lot of sci-fi terrain. It's mainly sci-fi terrain, and all the tables are covered in it.
Yeah, and you got to sort it all through, like, because it's
so I've got to
separated.
I've got to like they've got like this wall of shelves, so I can just like move it all over and try to find the few bits of fantasy terrain they have and bring it on. I was talking to them afterwards, and they're like, "Oh yeah, look, it's because most of the time people are playing 40k or Infinity. That's why we have so much sci-fi stuff. But if there's more fantasy players, we might get around to building more stuff."
Yeah.
And the other guy was like, "Yeah, I have a Skaven army. I might actually get it out, and I'll see you guys play it." It's kind of one of those things. So what was I? Where was I? So wait, what was I up to before I went on the tangent? Yeah, so I had some dropouts, but yeah, it was 11 people. And yeah, the way it worked out was because it was 10 people, it was pretty much everyone just paired up in the end. Mostly in the draw. There was probably 2 other guys that just started playing, and then their opponents never turned up anyway, so it was fine. And that meant I was actually an odd number, and I just spent probably the first, hour or so just like flitting around, watching all the games, taking photos, and answering questions. And there was a lot of questions, I think, because there was quite a few people that, this is their first game of 6th edition since 6th edition was released.
And then that's warbands. It's a little different, or not really? Does that affect the game?
Not the gameplay itself. It affects the deployment, the objectives, and the list construction.
Okay.
That's the only reason why I did the warbands, because I knew the actual game was completely the same. If it affected the game, I probably wouldn't have touched it, because it's just confusing for everyone. But the fact it was only just list construction and the deployments, because the deployments was kind of cool. Like, you sort of randomize it, and there's like 4 different deployments. Some of them are just normal, some are like diagonal. There's the one that I ended up playing was like, one player is in each far corner and the other player is in the center at the other side of the board. So it's kind of like a flanking attack sort of thing, which is, so they got some weird deployments, which it's because it's such a small army, so you can really be, I think you can have some fun with those. And then they had like 6 secret objectives, things like, being the opponent's deployment zone, or killing so many of your opponents, or the general, or a few things like that. But they're secret, so you don't actually know what your other guy is trying to achieve. Till the end of the game. So yeah, it was fun. I've never actually used the Warbands rules before.
It's pretty cool. Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and then each game only went for like 45 minutes or so. Like you just crack through it quite easily, and because they're smallish units, but you still have maybe 3 or 4 units, like it still feels like a reasonable game. It's like there's still a fair bit of strategy in it. As much as each unit's small, they're still exerting a bit of agency because of their presence, and there's still some reasonable amount of tactical input that you've got to do. I guess one of the things that we found was that at small point values, some things really become surprisingly powerful.
That's what I was going to ask. So is there something that stood out?
For sure. So Warp Lightning was probably the big winner of the weekend. There were two Skaven armies. Both had one engineer with some Warp Lightning, like not like built with any like particular malice or huge amount of magic items or anything like that. They could just cast it. But because it's 2d6 3-5 hits, 24-inch range, when you've got tiny little warbands, it just nails half half an army. I think so, because one game I think was who was it again? It was Johnny versus Oliver. Oliver's Nurgly boys, and I think the Johnny's Skaven, they took out 9 out of 12 Marauders with one. He rolled because he got warp lighting off twice. The first one he rolled like 11, and they took out more than half of the Marauders. And then the second one, I think he rolled a 10 and took out all his dogs as well. It just made it very hard for Oliver to get very far. And then the other Skaven matchup, I think it was against High Elves, and again the warp lightning took out like half a unit of I think 7 spearmen in one hit, which in a warband size is like a huge chunk. But there was otherwise most of the lists were weren't overly powerful. I think the guy Travis who played the Slannesh Hordes of Chaos list, he had a aspiring champion with nothing else apart from a hand weapon and shield. And he was like, this thing is like so powerful at 400 points, aspiring champion. Like in the context of 400 points, it was like super dominating. But yeah, I guess I should mainly just go through the game I played because I might as well do a little bit of a battle report.
Yeah, how did yours go? Yeah.
Because mine did okay. So I played against Oliver's Nurgle, Hordes of Chaos Nurgle, where he had, what was it, like 10 warriors with I think it was an aspiring champion type guy, and little single swarm base, and like 9 warhound sort of dog guys, and a unit of like 12, I want to say, marauders, I think, just with hand weapon and shield. I think the warriors had great weapons actually, which is interesting. So I had, just a reminder, I had the 10 devoted sort of witch elf type girls, and the sorcerer on level 2 with Slannesh magic, and 2 Mount Demonettes, and the 6 repeated crossbows. We deployed it, as I mentioned, the flanking one, where he actually was in each far corner. He had the dogs and the warriors and the swarm on one side, and the marauders on the other. On my marauders on my right, and the other 3 units on my left. And I sort of had the crossbowmen and the sorceress and the mounted demonettes on facing his 3 units, so on my right, and then on my left I just had the witch elves, or the devoted, facing the marauders. And he moved up quite aggressively because he didn't have anything ranged or magic. He's only got combat stuff. And then I with the Valithra, my sorceress, I rolled the whip. Well, I didn't roll it, but I took it. The whip, the level 1 whip spell, which is like 12-inch range, but it's D6 strength 6 hits. So pretty brutal, but it's it's a really short range. So when I got it, I was kind of like, I guess this will come in handy. Maybe we'll see. Like, it depends on if I can get it in range or not. And I rolled the distraction spell, whose name escapes me at the moment. But it's the one where you put a marker on the board, and then that unit just has to head straight towards it. I think I managed to whip the dogs. So the dogs moved up quite far up. And I actually positioned the crossbows to shoot at the dogs, and the sorceress to whip at them. And then I got the whip off on irresistible, like on 2 dice. So they rolled like double 6s, and I rolled 4 wounds, and then the dogs took 4 out of 9 died. They panic check, leadership 5, and they ran off the board immediately. So I didn't even get to shoot with the crossbows. The crossbows actually couldn't do anything. I was like, oh, poor dogs. And I'd pushed the mountain demonettes right up behind them, and then I saw the swarm by itself, and I was kind of like, let's see what happens here. So I actually charged the 2 mounted demonettes into the Nurgle swarm.
Yeah,
probably not the best idea, but I'd never played with the mounted demonettes, and I just wanted to see what they could do. But I feel like, because it's a swarm where it's a single base with 4 wounds, and the demonettes are so squishy, if they get hit, they die pretty easily. Basically, I fluffed all 6 attacks, didn't hit with anything.
Are the swarms like weapon skill 2? Are they like crappy?
Yeah, they're like, I think weapon skill 2.
Just got lots of wounds.
Their strength toughness 3, I think. But 4 attacks and 4 wounds. And they did 1 wound back, and they killed the demonette, and then the other one popped when I rolled the 9 on the disability test. I was like, okay. Probably not the best use. I probably should have kept threatening behind, different things, and then maybe getting a flank charge or something with somebody else that was in combat. Because the devoted had moved up and had got a charge on the marauders, and they didn't have a lot of attacks each. Because they've got 2 base and they've got extra hand weapons, so they got 3 attacks each, and then the champions got 4. And I was kind of like, holy crap. So I'm counting all these dice, and like at this point in the morning, it's like no one's really had more than like 5 or 6 dice in a single combat round. Suddenly I'm like counting up 17 dice. What the hell? I proceeded to roll them all, and I did a complete whiff. So I think I hit with less than it was 3s to hit, and I hit with
3s and 4s, was it?
I hit with like 8, and then I wound with 2.
Oh,
and then he's got a 5 armor save, and he saves both. No wounds out of 17 dice. And then, funnily enough, the marauders then strike back. they also failed to wound me, even though I'm only half 3 with no armor save.
Yeah.
So neither of us did any wounds. So he actually won the combat on combat res because I didn't have a standard, and he had two ranks and outnumbered me. So I lost by 3, and then I had to get a 5 on the break test, and I roll 5. And so I hang around, which I was like, oh my god, this is such a relief, because that was going to be badness if I broke then, because then the following combat round, the reverse happened. So I actually managed to get some wounds. So I think I did 6 wounds in the next one, and then I won the combat by 3. So then
you can attack back,
Yeah, because he didn't do any wounds because I'd take it. I think his champion was still alive, but I think he just failed. Then he rolled double ones or something and didn't hit anyway. So I won by 3. And then he failed his break test, and I just ran him down. So that was a real turning point, I think, for that I was quite fortunate to pass the break test. And then I think he was testing on a 4 or something, which was probably the worst. But again, like, I was just lucky I passed the break test on a 5, because that would have been probably a turning point in the game, really. Because while that was happening, the warriors continued to advance down the center. And they were heading towards the crossbows and the sorceress. Now, what I chose to do is, rather than back off with the crossbows, I kind of just let him come close to me, and as long as he was in short range and not quite in charge range, I was quite happy just to keep shooting at him. So I think he moved quite close. So I actually did, because the unit is 6, so I got 12 shots. I got like 5 wounds off, and he's rolled all 5 of his 4 up saves, and he's saved them all. Oh crap. Okay. And then the sorceress, these turns, like after I did the whip on the dog, she's tried to cast multiple other spells over different turns after that. I've completely failed to cast anything for the following 2 magic phases. Right after his, was it right before? Oh yeah, it would have been that turn. So the turn he did the 5 out of 5 4 up saves. I tried to cast whip on the warrior block as well, and I miscast her too. So I've got a miscast on the whip,
and then a miscast.
Yeah, so she's got so I miscast the whip, and then he saved all the crossbow shots. And then I think actually they were in charge range at that point. I think I decided not to move them back because I didn't want to have any movement penalty for shooting at them, because I just wanted, because I was like, I'm going to believe in my crossbows to take out these guys, maybe cause a panic check, or whittle them down enough, and maybe with the whip, I won't need to move them back, kind of thing. And then the whip miscast, and then he saves all 5 4 up saves. And so then he charges, and I can think another 2 wounds through on the standard shoot, and again he saves both of them.
Oh, in a bit of trouble.
Sounds nice to go 1 up saves.
So then they get in combat, and obviously the great weapon warriors with the aspiring champion I think they kill 4. The crossbows just flee, obviously, and then they get run down.
So your sorceress wasn't in the unit?
She was just hanging around. She could quite happily just would drift around, because there's nothing that could threaten her with range, because there was no magic, no shooting. I mean, I technically would have been safe, because as long as you're within, isn't it 5 inches or something?
Yeah, I think so.
You can't be targeted anyway. But she was quite happily just flitting around. I didn't have her in the unit for sure. That would have been a disaster. And then the next turn, which would have been near the end of the game, she did finally get a whip off on the unit, and I think I rolled a 4, so it was 4 strength 6 hits, and then left 1 warrior, and the aspiring champion left by himself. So I think his secret objective was to get a third of his unit strength into my deployment zone in the end, but because there was only like a couple of guys left, I think if I hadn't killed those last few warriors, he would have done it. But luckily I killed them. I didn't realize that what he was trying to do.
What were you trying to do?
Mine was trying to kill more than half of his unit strength, which when I took out the marauders, that pretty much effectively confirmed that.
Got you that.
So they did pretty well. Like Slannesh magic seems fairly good. I think like magic at the low point values is quite potent.
So that's in hindsight. You think anything that we that is rolling 2d6. Considering you're going to have like units that are
for
6
Warp
or
Lightning.
8. Yeah, well, yeah, like and if there was any other spells, it's almost like you just ratchet them down.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you're not playing. If you're playing it all the time, you would, but this is just a gradual step up. You're not really doing it to play.
Yeah, it's only the once-off
games
wasn't it?
all the time.
Because now you're back to
because you'll be up to 600 points, and it'll. Yeah, I think as you get slightly bigger, people will have more and more magic defense. I'm not sure 600 points is still pretty restrictive because
that's normal now.
It's normal now, so you then have to go. Oh, I've got to fill out these units. So you still don't have much space for a scroll caddy, but maybe 800 to 1,000, you'd be able to squeeze in a wizard or something.
So did everyone get the people that turned up? Did they were they all painted and everything? Did they get what they wanted done?
Probably about half were painted, were painted, or maybe 2/3. There was a couple that.
But at least they turned up then.
But I'd say most were painted, and painted to quite a good standard, I would say.
Cool.
There was one especially that was like a Night Goblin army. I don't know if you saw the photo of it on the post I put on Melbourne Herald, but there was like a neon theme Night Goblin army, which is like super high contrast. He left the bases black, but then he put like fluorescent colors along the edge of the bases and that type. Like it was like almost like a Tron theme type thing, Which, like it just looks it's so eye catching on the table. But there was quite a few good looking armies, and hoping to see more of it in a month's time. So next one is in only 4 weeks' time. Because logistically, that's how it worked out with House of War.
But you're only doing the 200 points. It's only half as much as what you've already done.
It's relatively small anyway.
Might be able to catch up.
But I'm hoping I'm trying to make the intervals 5 weeks, on average. And then just depends on House of War as to their particular availability. I'm trying to book in till April at the moment, but they haven't replied yet. But and obviously other tournaments, that type of thing. Like I'm trying to avoid hitting the same weekend as Uprising, which is a big tournament in Victoria around March, and trying to keep a reasonable.
Do you reckon any of these six? Cause is Uprising the one that was advertised the other day?
Yep,
maybe it was. Yeah. Do you reckon any of them will they still go ahead, or do you reckon they'll end up switching, or those guys will always do 6?
Ben
is too early to say.
Ben is very sure this year for sure. The next Uprising will definitely be 6th edition. Right, he's like adamant. I've spoken to him about it. He's definitely going to be 6. It's too early. Can't possibly swap over to the old world. Although if it happens in January, maybe there's more time.
On YouTube,
he loves 6th edition.
Was it? Yeah, it was funny. I think it was someone on YouTube or somewhere said that they've already booked in the first. They reckon they got the first. I think maybe it's in Sweden or something. First Old World tournament.
Oh, already?
Yeah, like they've locked in like late Feb. So like that.
Oh my god, that's funny. That's hilarious.
Maybe just wonder. I wonder if we could do that.
I'm not sure what.
Like Newcastle, we should run
first
the
Australian
first Old World. We'll just pick it first week of March or something.
I feel like. Uprising is going to be 6th edition for the foreseeable future. I mean, the thing is, it's so hard to plan any of this. Like, even with the slow grow, like trying to think of what I'm going to do with it. Like, actually, I was talking about it with a couple of the guys, and they were I was surprised. They were kind of like, can we just keep doing 6? I was kind of like, oh, okay, sure. So, I mean, I'm very open in terms of, how we want to, the slow grow is going to be handled in that regard. And I'm probably just leaving it up to people as to what they want to do.
And you might get this weird, I don't know, like even if it drops, because it's not technically a new version and that potentially has different base sizing and stuff. I reckon it's going to be massively popular, but I still think there's going to be this 6-month window where people are transitioning or building an old world army up, so they still want to play like something else. So I think it'll be fine.
And ironically, Colin, looking at the rules released, it's probably not going to be that
different.
Huge difference to 6th edition in a way. No. Like we're probably going to have equal amount of fun playing it. It's just that it's so new and shiny and exciting more than anything. But I don't think there's no point like tearing up everything.
I mean, like we said before, nothing's stopping you technically going. well, let's play old world rules this game. Well, you know what I mean? Or if you finish this game, play it again just with the old world rules. Keep the same list, but just just to try it out, you know, that type of thing.
For sure. Like, I think that's absolutely, an option. Sorry.
That's the thing.
Sorry. I missed the mute button.
The world's we've been on pause for too long, so the more Hammer people are playing, the better. So
I'm just so excited about the reception for this logo. Like, there's been no regular meetings for wargaming in this way around the eastern suburbs of Melbourne for years. And if this forms into something where every month or two we just have a fairly regular group of people playing fantasy, that's going to be amazing. Something that
it's I don't know. Again, not like I'm pretty bullish, obviously, on the whole old world stuff, and I'm also I don't know. I just feel like the other thing that I was listening to the other day was I don't know if you guys know that, like Facehammer. Did you ever follow that years ago? So like all the real they were ETC players and stuff, and I can't remember, Russ Veal his name is, and he runs Facehammer, which was a podcast, and they were all in the 8th edition thing, and I mean they've played version after version after version, but some of those guys were involved in the whole fixing AOS crap because when how AOS came out, and then basically was it Ben Johnson or whatever, they just went, this is shit, we need to actually put points on it, and they put points, and anyway, so then Games Workshop got them in to help with AOS 2, and then the rest is history, and it's obviously an awesome and popular game now. And now, at least him, like this Facehammer guy, Russ, he's started basically a set of old world videos, and he's going, I'm going to be playing it. I'm not stopping AOS, but it doesn't really scratch my wargaming fantasy itch like Warhammer Fantasy did.
Yeah.
And you see these big players come hopefully back. And just going on your point, Josh, with Melbourne, like, Melbourne had a lot of those, like all your mates, like Nick and stuff, who ran all, what was Dwellers Below? Was that those guys? I can't remember. But, like they had all that
back
crew.
In those days. Yeah, they ran 2 massive tournaments in the CBD in the hotel there. Like it was a whole thing.
I think they're going to come out of the woodworks.
I think so. Like if were you looking at that recent post on the 6th edition Facebook group, which had a breakdown of the location of the players in the Facebook group? Oh, you didn't see it?
No, I didn't see it. Okay, God, I should look at that.
In the entire group, the city with the most
is Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah. I was like, what the hell? I think Sydney was in the top 3 as well, and then Brisbane was like top 5 or something. Like, Newcastle was a bit further down, unfortunately, but yeah, the Australian cities. Maybe it's because I don't know. Maybe it's geographically we're all sort of so concentrated in there, whereas in the UK everyone's spread out into different regions more. Maybe that's why it popped up so high. But I was still surprised that Melbourne was the top of the list.
Someone did mention the other day that they reckon Australia is one of the ones that kept fantasy alive for so long. Like in terms of standard, not 9th age and all that, but just in terms of like 6th or 8th. Yeah, that type of stuff.
Standard. Yeah, maybe.
We're a bit slower. We're so far down the world, we don't realise it ended. We just kept playing it. We just thought the eBay high prices was just Games Workshop kept putting the price up.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting on. We should wrap this one up soon then, do you think? That was so that's cool, Josh. Yeah, I'm interested to see where you go with that. I'm going to try and get mine done still, but let's see where we go.
Yeah, it sounds like it's really took off, like to have that many people sign up and then you had that sort of turnout. I reckon that's really good to have that 5-6 tables.
I'm excited to remember I ran that slow grow at Legions and did the demons and stuff, but 8th died.
Yeah.
In the middle of it or the end of it. I can't remember what it was. And it was just like, I'm excited with the old world to have a slow grow, and not this one that you're doing, Josh, but like I'd be very keen next year to, like I was saying, a Tale of Full Gamers or just kick off a new army in a new version of a game as well. Like I think it's a good way to build up an army. It's awesome.
Yeah. And also,
not just an army, but a scene as well.
Exactly. Totally.
That's get the community involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because so many people that were playing yesterday or Sunday were just come out of the woodwork. People that had hardly played Warhammer for years. It was great. It was really cool. The good thing with me not playing was that I was running around answering questions that were like really like questions that people clearly hadn't played Warhammer for a long time, and so they're like looking through their phones looking for that thing, and I just went up like, what do you guys want to know? And they're like, oh, what's this? And I was like, just do this. And I'm like, oh, okay. And they could just like, it was just
good practice for CanCon, man, for you.
Yeah. I feel like CanCon is going to be more complicated questions.
Just roll the dice.
Yes. If I'm playing, that'll be the response for sure. Oh dear.
Cool. Anyway, I might wrap this one up soon. Actually, we did have question times, but Paul Gilthos, we put him off last. Let's do one of his questions. Hang on, let's just do a simple one.
Yeah, I feel bad if we don't answer them again.
Yeah, he sent a few and he'll keep sending, which is fine. So I don't think he'll mind if we don't do all of them. Why don't we do one of the bold ones down the bottom, which are a bit just quicker?
I've got to answer his high elf one.
Oh, you can. I took that was in last. Is that quick to answer then?
About the Havens thing.
It
was sort of like where the high elves in the old world. As in last week's episode notes.
Was that taken out?
Yeah,
I thought it was in here.
It was in last week's one because I wasn't sure if we'd answered it or not.
Yeah. No, I will do another one.
I can paste it back in.
No, I'm trying to find where they were.
No, well, let's just do one of these and I'll whack that in. What do you think? Which one should we do? These are more for what we would do, I guess. How about something easy like what are your top 3 armies in the old world for each of us? So which ones would you play or stuff? So they're probably pretty easy in some sense because of what you already got, but what would you do, Andrew, with the 9 factions that are there? What's the top 3 that you would
know, the top 2 I've got straight up.
Dwarves and high elves.
Dwarves, high elves.
Yeah.
And I'd probably be pushing my Vamps, although I'm really keen to get the Chaos Dwarves going. But
they're not the core factions then?
So. No. Well,
is there a core faction that you would lean towards?
A core? I'd have to start a new army, of course. Which I have done previously many times. Oh, jeez. I love my Orcs and Goblins. I've collected and moved on Orcs and Goblins many times. I do like the craziness about them, but I would like to go a straight Goblin army, which I think Josh is doing as well.
You definitely started one, didn't you, Josh? Are you still doing that? Yeah.
I always like the idea of just doing just straight Forest Goblins.
That'd be cool. I hope they bring them back. They don't really have them.
No.
That'd be cool if they
did. That would be it. They're my 3.
And that'd be different to AOS. You don't see Forest Goblins in AOS, do you? So.
Well, they're part of the Gobbo. They do have them, but not specifically just Forest Goblins. How about you, Josh? What's your 3? I think
Likewise, we know the first 2.
Do you?
Oh, do we? Wow. You've got Bretts and Wood Elves already, don't you?
Yeah, that's for sure. Those are my 2 main armies. Yep, Bretts and Wood Elves. I don't know with Bretts what faction type I'll be. I'm so intrigued to see how they structure the Errantry War variants that they've mentioned already, and the exile variants and that type of thing.
Yeah, true.
Because Errantry is I really love that as a theme. I've got a lot of 5th edition Errant Knights, that I used at CanCon last year, and it was fun just having them run around, fairly impetuous and hard to control, and just they're a fun army to play with. Wood Elves would be my second, and then probably Orcs and Goblins, I guess, because I am doing a Gobbo army. Sort of the main factions, that'll be my way to go. I really hope that it's probably unlikely to happen with the Dark Elves. because they're probably only going to get a basic list, and you're probably not got a huge amount of variants. But I'd love to see a Slannesh variant Dark Elf list that I could use these miniatures that I painted up for.
We might have to do a topic, like I said. I was going to bring up this questions I had around factions and models and stuff, but maybe we need to squish that in before it gets fully announced. Because there's a few questions around that. Because I'm wondering with these, not like you just said with the errant stuff, errantry, and Games Workshop's propensity, is that the right word? Whatever, of like, how they do detachments and stuff in all the other armies. Like, so you got this one army, but there's like 5 radical different ways to sort of deal with it and stuff. Yeah. Like, I wonder if that's more of a thing, because they've already got the Empire, which is going to be already in turmoil, so split up between whatever 3 particular things. And then, like you're saying with Bratz, maybe there's more options here to have. Yeah, you might still just collect Bratz, but you end up with 3 different armies. Which you didn't really do much in the old versions.
Nah.
Yeah, not in the core rule book. I mean, you had on the back of the book.
Yeah, but only in 6, like 8, they got rid of all that. It would be cool if they brought it back a bit better.
I was talking about 6.
Yeah, it was a real mixed bag.
That's one of the best things about 6 is you've got so many variant army lists that create so much flavor and variance to the game. The 8th edition lost so much of that. So I feel like from what they've said about the Bretonnian lists and the options they're going to give there, I think they will bring a lot of that in.
Yeah, well, I'm all for that. That'd be really good. That's cool. Yeah, well, I mean, my top 3 armies are the ones I've actually got are already there, I guess. Empire, Tomb Kings, and bloody Orcs and Goblins. But I think in terms of a new one, I already said I'll probably try Chaos just as a new one if we do a slow grow or something next year on that, just because I have got no Chaos, so that'd be cool. I've got Demons, but they're not a supported one, but like Hordes.
Yeah, I'd probably do a similar thing with that, Demons.
Chaos?
Yeah, like Demons. As in just expand the Slannesh side of my little guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be cool. Anyway, well, that's that. That tells Gilthos a little bit about what we're thinking, but we'll keep adding on. I'll cross that one out that we did it, and then we'll do the high off one next week. So I must have left it in the other one.
I've done some study on that. He tickled my intrigue, and actually went looking for his high off question.
Cool. Okay. Well, we'll cover that next week. We might have to close this one out there, guys. What do you reckon? Getting on?
Definitely.
Yeah, it's getting
on. You guys excited about? So the other news, I guess, is this weekend is...
Almost forgot.
What's it called? It's a preview, but what's it called? I think it's Warhammer World Championships or something. Who knows? So, yeah, we're seeing hopefully another Old World reveal, which I'm hoping is what we're getting for Tomb Kings, but who knows? That's just a rumor.
Yeah.
I'm actually at a concert, so you guys have to send me like messenger pictures. Because I probably won't be able to look at it.
Concert are you
at? R&B Fridays.
Ooh.
I'm not like my wife loves R&B, so we're all going down, just a group of people. So
yeah, all right.
It's one I better not be on my phone the whole time. So
checking. Oh dear. Yeah, I think it might.
It's at 5 o'clock or something, but because this thing's at 2, I'll probably be.
Is it at 1 p.m. or something?
Yeah, something
AST?
like that.
Yeah. I feel like it's a good chance there's going to be Tomb King miniatures reveal. Like, it's not. Surely it's not going to be. Like, we had a lot of rules already, and they're doing that separately.
Yeah.
It's going to be miniatures of some kind.
Yeah, it'll be a miniature. It'll either be that, or they'll show more what's actually coming. But I feel like they'll. I think it'll be Tomb Kings, but again. We haven't seen any Tomb Kings, which is really interesting. That's what I was sort of starting to think. Maybe we are going to see, redone core or something. Yeah, so it's interesting.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting. Cool. Anyway, and then next week we'll chat about that, and we'll definitely get onto combat if they've released that, which it's already
Do you guys have any thoughts?
Site.
Now, this is one thing I was thinking of. Knowing that we're only shooting in one rank, how likely do you think is there going to be supporting attacks in combat?
Well, if they're talking about that, everyone in the front row fights, I don't think there will be unless it's spears or something.
Yeah, maybe spears only. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I reckon if they do that, it's going to end up being you're going to have 50 people in units all the time to withstand the damage. Like if everyone in the front rank can attack and then they all get supports, even if they're not in base
as well,
even if they're not in base to base.
Yeah. it's too
much. Part of the problem.
I hope they just don't have like you can't attack back if you're dead. That's the one thing.
Yeah, same. Yeah,
step up.
Just
step up.
Step up. Yeah.
It's just easier to work out, probably.
Yeah.
Well, I have faith that it's going to be good anyway. Like, the last 3 weeks have all been better than expected, and I'm quietly hopeful that the rest of it's going to be similar.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. No, you go, Andrew. Yep.
No, I was agreeing.
No, I was just going to say, was there anything else in combat that was controversial? It's probably just things like that's more morale, like steadfast and all that. I think that's the other things we want to know, but we don't know if we're getting that next week or not. Yeah,
pushbacks or route tests or that type of thing, and whether or not they'll going on about rank bonuses. And
yes, I think that's all critical to know, isn't it? But we just
but
it's still. Geez, there's probably 7, 8 of these to come if they're going to do them all the way to.
Well, they got to psychology. I don't know what else.
We need magic as a whole thing. Like we don't know how technically
is there
works.
Resources management at all, or do you just cast a spell each phase?
Yeah. Even list construction would be interesting. Like, how do you actually build a list? Like, is it going to be percentages? Is it going to be core? Is it going to be
there's so much to unpack, Colin. You can talk for hours about this.
How big's the book going to be? How much money are they going to take off?
How much are they going to?
Where do I put the wheelbarrows of cash? Like where do I wheel it to? I'm asking them; they haven't answered me yet.
It's like 1930s Germany. You're just coming in.
Do they want to take my youngest daughter as well? I'm happy to give it all if they give me a good Warhammer game back. Anyway,
it's an exciting time.
Yes, it is very exciting. Hopefully the listeners agree. I'm pretty sure they will, especially if they listen to the end of this. So yeah. Anything else, guys, you want to chat about, or we'll close out the
show? To go to bed.
Yeah, all good. No worries, Josh. I'll let you go there. Thanks, everyone, for listening to Old World Fanatics. And as usual, hit us up, give us 5-star ratings if you could, and definitely hit us on Instagram and Threads and bloody everything else, and Twitter and all that stuff. And until next week, the next batch of rules.
Have they used their actual website yet, or has it all been on the community website?
I haven't look, man. No way.
I've just seen community. That's where I go.
It's so ridiculous they made that website. And
what was it even called? Old World.
The
Old World or Old World? This is a great end podcast. The Old World is welcome. They haven't. It's just the same.
It's still the same?
Yeah.
That was announced with such fanfare.
That's awesome.
All right.
Cool, guys.
All right.
See you next time.